Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Tuesday, May the 6th. We mentioned Cinco de Mayo yesterday. Did you guys go?
Did we have
get Mexican food? Correct.
Yes, we had leftover tacos. Meredith brought them home from
Cinco
her
de Foro?
Meredith brought them home from her bachelorette party.
That's pretty sweet if you can have a bachelorette party while you're married.
Yeah, that's
okay. I don't think it was for her. Pretty sure it was for her sister.
Gotcha. You said her bachelorette party. I figured should I make it up?
A bachelorette party, I suppose.
Gotcha.
Maybe that's more appropriate.
Got it. I told you yesterday we would make a decision late to try and do it, and I immediately put the foot down and said we will not go, but we can go get it.
Pick up?
Take and out? We did, yes. And the place that I got it from, it was a 65-minute wait and just jammed. People sitting there waiting. I'm like, y'all lost it. You realize you could have called, walked in here, got it, and gone home. But I get it. You got to maybe it's somebody's birthday and you want to wear the hat and they sing. The miniature mariachi band comes out with the little rice shaker things, whatever those are. What are those? Maracas?
Maracas.
I get it. You want the experience. It's fine, but not for us. No.
I mean, it's not like you can't experience that any other day of the year. But
She kind of asked me too. She's kind of like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm positive." These 3 60-minute wait. Mm-hmm. That'll go great. We'll see how that goes. John, do you have some chips, salsa, guac?
No,
rice,
we did
beans, burrito,
pecan crusted catfish.
Same thing. It's right there in line with Cinco de Mayo.
And feel the need to.
I feel like that can have like a little bit of Mexican heritage. I think a little bit, like some type of pecan crusted catfish. I think you can make that work. Just
Right
throw a
in
little salsa on it or something. I don't know. You could do it. Be delicious.
All right, we got Matt Mercer coming up for you at 7:20. We're going to talk some UCF, new head coach Scott Frost. There are a couple of transfers out of Orlando that are heading to Power 5 schools that we'll get a little more information on. We got Joe Cook to talk Texas's situation. How does he feel like Sark feels about the roster right now? Get some further insight to that backup quarterback situation. Just kind of what's going on with the Horns. Haven't really talked about them post-spring very much with someone that covers them on a daily basis. And yesterday, one of the interesting topics of conversation was Greg brought up the question, if you went and asked a random person that pays attention to college football lightly, could they name 10 head coaches in college football? So like Greg said, like your wife, like if you went home and I said, I'm going to do it, and got home and she was doing some things, finished up. I said, I got some questions for you. I need you to sit down. We went through that. Greg did something similar. John, were you able to find a
Yes.
normal?
Yeah.
Okay. So John did that as well. All right. So a non-crazy, and Greg set the over-under at 10 yesterday that non-psychotic college football fans could get to. I thought it was a very fair over-under when you looked at some of the celebrity coaches to an extent, obviously local coaches that have done other things. There's some carryover. We'll get to that after we visit with Matt at 7:20, and I think it's going to be fun. I may try to think of a normal that I could call and just get on the air that we could have that conversation with also. Just ask the questions, not tell them what's coming. Just see how it would go.
Just call a random 205 number?
Yeah. Well, someone that I know, but that I also know would not be cheating and try to figure out the answers to the test when we called them. We'll see. But either way, you can call in. You can have that conversation beforehand and then give us a call during that segment here in a little while. And we'll go from there. The transfer portal continues to stay busy with this is what I find so odd about the portal every year, every window is that it closes and then all the guys announce where they're going. One school, Greg, that we are probably going to continue to talk about and need to talk about a little bit is Syracuse. Now, they lost some talent. Fadil Diggs got drafted late, but he played really good football for them last year. They got him from A&M. We know what they got out of quarterback when Ohio State essentially just said, hey, we don't want you anymore. And you go out there and set school records, ACC records last year. But they go and get former Texas wide receiver Jonte Cook. Now, this comes with some things. This is not just a good player that wasn't happy anymore. There are some circumstances there. So you see if you can make it work. Then they go get Georgia cornerback Chris Peel, which you would imagine if Kirby and company sign a corner, kid can probably play a little bit. And then they go get FSU offensive lineman TJ Ferguson yesterday as well. They're doing some damage in the portal. And I think we looked at Syracuse and said, yeah, they got a lot of good guys last year. They had a lot of success in the portal, probably some relationships, and there won't be any carryover there. Well, it looks like there might be some carryover now. And this might be a team that, at least from a talent perspective, is able to compete in the majority of the team with the majority of the teams on their schedule this fall.
Well, we also must take into account culture. Like, what's their culture going to be long term? Like, if they're doing this every year, and I think this is a place like Syracuse, you can get away with this. Like, you can afford to have a 4-8 if the stars don't align that one year, or if the pieces in the portal don't necessarily play as well as you think or hope they're going to play. So I think that Syracuse, it makes sense to go about this way. You go 4-8 at Bama, see ya. You go 4-8 at Texas, see ya. But at Syracuse, you can kind of sacrifice culture in favor of trying to get the best available. And if the best available pans out, you have a great year like you had last year. If the best available doesn't pan out, and you fall flat and you go 3-9. But it's okay. People will forgive you because at least you rolled the dice. So I think it makes sense to go about it this way if you're Syracuse.
What do you think is the earliest that a young man should be projected into a specific round for the NFL draft?
Junior year
of high school?
No.
Are you sure?
Positive.
John, do we need to have played college games before we project somebody into a specific round of the NFL draft?
I used to think yes, but no, I don't know. The way I've seen some people, I mean, if Ryan Williams can do what he did at 17.
Well, we didn't know there was collusion in the draft either. So.
Oh, that's true. Right. Yeah.
I didn't know this was a real thing. And I just clicked on TJ Ferguson to make sure it was Terrence Ferguson that we were familiar with.
Yes.
That had been at Alabama. Same guy. So he's Bama, Florida State, now Syracuse.
Okay.
On 3/13/2020, according to the 247 website where you get the information from the portal, you click his bio. Charles Power offered an evaluation of Terrence Ferguson. Possesses adequate stature, good length for an offensive lineman. Has room to add good mass. Mission accomplished.
Okay.
Could reshape his body once in college. Strength and conditioning program. Works at left tackle in high school, but could project to several spots on the offensive line at the next level. There are only so many. Functional athletic mover. Marries footwork with his length and heavy hands, making him a punishing run blocker. Plays with an edge. Finishes blocks with authority. Blah, blah, so on, so on. On 3/13/2020, before Terrence/TJ Ferguson had stepped foot on a college campus, 24/7 offered him up a projection day 2 or 3 round grade. Also gave us the reminds us of John Simpson, Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay. And
feels like a little early to be offering up the NFL vet comps and projecting into the NFL draft via specific round.
Yeah, I would say that's probably fair. And
I didn't know they did this.
I don't even know if he's good. Like, is he good? Because he wasn't at Bama. Like, is he good now? I don't know.
Well, he marries his footwork with his length very well.
I don't know the answer to this question. All I know is that I would be willing to bet if he entered the NFL draft this year, he's not going in the second or third round. Like the one that went 2 weeks ago.
I just didn't know we were projecting guys into rounds out of high school now.
5 years ago.
A real thing.
This was on 3/13/20. Was that the day the world shut down for COVID?
Right around then.
Makes sense.
All right, so Syracuse also going to get Cam Pringle, offensive tackle from South Carolina. Zach Rice, an interior offensive lineman from North Carolina. They're also going to get, via the portal, George Rooks, a defensive lineman from Boston College. They landed, of course, Steve Angeli, which I don't think you and I have had this conversation yet since he committed to Syracuse. Notre Dame backup quarterback last year that Greg and I both love. We both thought he was going to, or at least had a really good chance to win that job. They get linebacker Gary Bryant III from South Dakota. Have you seen the tape on him?
I have not.
Not seen the tape.
Have you seen him?
I missed that one. I'll go back and try to check it. Austin Collins, offensive lineman from Louisville, has transferred in. So I know a lot of these guys aren't big names at the places that they've been, but they're at those bigger schools for a reason. And from a talent perspective, it looks like Syracuse is at least going to be able to replace a lot of what they had depart this past year. David Reese, edge from Cal, also signing in at Syracuse. So they're going to have some guys.
David Reese.
They're going to have some guys. Chris Thomas Jr., defensive lineman from Marshall, 6'6", 327.
Didn't David Reese play at Florida?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, though. It was a different David Reese. Spelled differently. Tyshawn Russell, wide receiver from South Carolina, which you'd have thought if you're a good wide receiver.
No, he played at Florida from 18 to 22. That's right. Played at Florida from 18 to 22. Has been at Cal the last 2 years and just signed at where?
Syracuse. This can't be the same guy.
Same guy. Looking at his stats right now from Cal. Selection in 20
Vero
days.
Beach, Florida. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought that guy was long gone from college football.
Nope. Class of 2018, still playing college ball.
Oh, wow. So if he graduated high school in 2018, how old is he right now?
25? He graduated in 18, was probably born in 2000.
What was his draft projection? Let's look at that.
Go find that one. Yeah. I'm sure it's going to be right in line there. No problem at all. Before we get to that one, a couple other. Well, we'll get to some portal entries a little bit later because we have plenty to get to via the portal. There are some guys whose names you will recognize, some for different reasons, some from other reasons. David Reese, high school athletic background. David Reese is a linebacker from Fort Pierce, Florida. Somebody just said, "Hell with it. We're not even." That's all the work we're doing on that guy. They went deep on that eval.
Yeah, I'm amazed at this. I got to find how old he is. David Reese birthday.
Wait, hold on a second. Oh, they have his visits and everything. They have the camps that he went to. That's no joke. He went to camp at Miami, Mississippi State. Volunteers offer David Reese.
First thing that comes up, David Reese, 75 years old.
Maybe.
David Reese, date of birth, April 1950.
He committed to Florida on July 29th, 2017. And signed his letter of intent 12/20/17. Enrolled at Florida May 14th, 2018.
Last year was his 7th year.
How are we doing this?
When it says experience, it says 7th. That was last season.
Redshirt year, COVID year would get you to what, 6? And then you're going to have the hardship year would get you to 7, and you're going to need another one? Another one.
Sounds like it. I don't know. He was 4th team All Pac-12 in 2023.
You think when he submits his paperwork to the NCAA, it just says another one?
I'm amazed.
As in year of eligibility?
I'm genuinely amazed. Like, how do we let this happen?
Why are we amazed anymore, though? It's just,
but it's
we
like
continue to get these guys year after year.
These guys are just playing college football forever. I mean, it just blows my mind. His brother is Stuart Reese, offensive lineman, Mississippi State, who finished his career in 2019.
I was going to say, yeah, he's done.
Yeah. I just want to find his birthday.
He might be in the UFL, by the way, Stuart Reese. They got one of those big Mississippi State tackles is playing at San Antonio. What is his name? I can't recall right now. Greg Island. That's him, not Stuart Reese. Greg Island is there. Massive human.
Unbelievable.
There's a lot to get to in the portal. There are names that have played locally that we'll talk about a little bit later, but some that are leaving UCF, heading to SEC Power 5 schools. We'll talk to Matt Merschel about those. Also, the Scott Frost reboot era. How's it going right now in Orlando? It was looking good, looking bad. We feeling good about it. We'll get the latest update on that. And you need to know that spring weather in Alabama can be unpredictable. That's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor. Select Trane home comfort systems. Find out more at Trane.com. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. We'll talk transfer portal with Matt Merschel next on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:18, Tuesday, May the 6th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Get to Matt Murcell here in just a moment. Don't forget about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group. If you're looking for a new home in Central Alabama, it's got to be Gusty Goulas. Just Google Gusty Goulas Group. You will see over 850 five-star Google reviews. Served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers here in the greater Birmingham area. He has helped my family. He can help your family. Even if you just want to know what your home is worth, go to GustyGoulasGroup.com right now, top right-hand corner of the page, smash that button. Very little information. They're going to tell you what they think your home's worth, what they can probably get for it, and probably end up being more because that's what they did for a family member of mine. Brokered by eXp Realty. Go to GustyGoulasGroup.com or just Google it and see what people are saying for yourself. Okay, Matt Murcell joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. And Matt, one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on is we haven't heard a lot about the Scott Frost 2.0 era, what's happening, the reboot. How are things looking? How are things progressing after a couple of months with him back on the job?
I think they're progressing well. I mean, for what it has been, if you think about it, I mean, when here's a coach that's been out of coaching, for the last 3 or 4 years, comes back, takes this job here at UCF, has to put together a whole new staff, went out and kind of brought back some pieces, some familiar names from his former staff. Brought in a couple new pieces, brought in someone in Mackenzie Milton to be his quarterback's coach. Has the staff going. Now he's been trying to adjust to the new age of college football with the portal, with NIL, building this roster. And, the roster basically, he had to add about 40 newcomers to this roster and rebuild and go through that. And even and some of those guys left in the spring portal window. So it's been a learning experience for Scott. But I know it's one of those ones that he's really excited about. He really feels like this is his home. He's happy to be back in Orlando. He's happy to be raising his family here. And, the players love him. They love his personality. And it feels like this is an opportunity for him to kind of reboot and start over again.
A lot of people felt like he didn't really want to move. He didn't really want to take the Nebraska job, but there was a lot of pressure financially at being his alma mater, a lot of pressure to take the job. So do you think it's going to be pretty much the exact same approach he took the time before to kind of build this thing up? Or do you think with it being a little different climate, he's going to need to kind of adjust how he operates?
I think it's going to be a little bit of the past and a little bit of how he operates, changes how he operates. I mean, he's always been big on kind of building a family atmosphere. The players have talked about this over and over again about how they felt like the closest with him, that he relates to them the most. And I know a lot of players say that, but, just talking with some of these guys, the excitement they have in their eyes about him and what he's brought there, what his coaching staff has brought there. I mean, they feel like this approach is really, something that they're attracted to and want to play for. So I think that's something he's always had when he was here before. That's going to be here. I think there's a little bit of a new approach. It's a new era. And like, I mentioned a couple of times, but, during spring ball, he talked a lot about, listen, we have to, it's constant negotiation nowadays. You're always constantly negotiating with players, whether it's players on your team, players in the portal, high school players, you're always negotiating with them. That's a little different approach than he had back here in 2016 and 2017. So, I think he's become more aware of what's going on. They've kind of beefed up his off-field staff, his personnel staff to work with him, bring in some guys that can help, with the NIL piece of things, with the house settlement type and rev sharing that's coming up. So he feels like that's going to help him out as well. But, overall, it seems like the same Scott Frost, He seems very energetic about what he's doing. But I also think he's learned a lot. I think he's very humble about his experience, what happened at Nebraska, why it didn't work, and, really what he wants to bring here when coming back with this opportunity.
Matt Murcell joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking with UCF this morning. And there are names both in and out that a lot of folks, I think, would recognize from college football. It could be multiple spots, could be different places that are coming in, going out of this UCF program. Let's start with going in. What have they been able to add that you feel like will maybe make them more dangerous, more competitive this fall?
Well, I think they've added some pieces that they feel like, can really help them out. There may not be like big name pieces that maybe, like you said, everyone maybe will know who they are right off the top of their head. But, I think a guy like Jaden Dixon, who was a running back they brought in from Western Michigan, a guy who rushed for 1,000 yards. They feel like he's a guy that can help be a big piece of what they want to do in that running back room. This is a running backs room that's probably going to be a running back by committee type situation with Miles Montgomery, who's returning as well. They have a couple quarterbacks they feel like can make a run at being a starter. And Taven Jackson's a guy from Indiana that has a little experience there. They feel like he could be a big piece of what they want to do. And if not him, they brought in a guy in Cam Fancher from FAU. Both those guys, have some experience. That quarterback position, that's going to be the one that a lot of eyes are going to be on, who's going to be the one that's going to step up as well. And then, on the defensive side of things, that they've got Sincere Edwards, a player that was from Pittsburgh that played 1 year. He's a local kid who's coming back. They feel like he could be a good player to step in and help out a group that's already has a lot of talent with Malachi Lawrence and Angelic Kelly coming back as well. And then, you look at the cornerbacks, they had guys who they brought in about 14, 15 new defensive backs, in the off season. And Philip Dunham is a guy that they brought in from FAU that during spring, he was a safety. And every time we would talk to players, they would talk about how Philip was doing interception or was making a play or doing something. So he's a name I think we're going to be hearing a lot of when it comes to the secondary.
What about kind of the offensive philosophy? Is it much of the same kind of spread up tempo run based offense? Have there been tweaks? Have they made adjustments? How do you anticipate it looking kind of philosophically as they go throughout the season?
Yeah, that's been the big question we asked Scott, is UCF fast. Remember that was the mantra that they used here when he was here, and they used to go up and down the field. Was that going to be kind of the way he was going to approach it when he came back? And he said, there's going to be pieces of that, going into his new offense. But he also felt like going fast doesn't really help them sometimes because in the long run, it wore out their defense. He felt like everywhere he's gone where they ran that way, the defense always seemed to be tired out because they were always on the field because the offense either scored so quickly, and really didn't give them an opportunity to get a little bit of a breather. So he said there's going to be pieces of it that people are going to be used to seeing, but he also brought in some stuff, from his time in the NFL. He was with the LA Rams and Sean McVay. He said, listen, there's some things I learned from Sean that I want to be able to incorporate as well into this offense. It's going to be a little bit of a pro style as well. I still think it's going to be spread. I still think they're going to use a lot of motion. I think they're going to want to use as much speed as they possibly can. But he wants to be smart about it, and he wants to be able to go out and find ways to get those speedsters in situations where they can make plays. So it's going to look kind of similar, but I think also it's going to have a few wrinkles that'll probably surprise some people.
Matt Murcell covers UCF. He's joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking guys in, guys out in the portal. A couple SEC schools will get players from UCF. Georgia going to get an offensive lineman, Walt Claire Flynn. What are your thoughts on exactly what the Bulldogs are adding here?
Well, Walt Claire came in as a freshman and really kind of impressed the coaching staff, the previous coaching staff. And he was in here. He was working out at the center position. He was working with the ones and twos for most of spring last year. Didn't get an opportunity really to see a lot of time during the season. But, he's a guy that I think has the potential to be, to step in and really start making a name for himself. A guy that they felt like, before he decided into the portal here, that he might have had an opportunity to go for that center spot. He was definitely in the mix among 2 or 3 players for that. So he's got a lot of youth, a lot of potential, a lot of size, and a guy that, again, I think give him a little opportunity. I think eventually he'll step in and be able to help out Georgia.
Finally, I don't know if I've ever really gotten a real explanation as to why Gus Malzahn left. I'm still a little befuddled. I think UCF's a great place. I think it's a place that has upside. It can win. Gus has made a lot of money. I don't think it's about that. But I think it's one thing if you take the job at Ohio State. It's another thing like Chip Kelly did last year. It's another thing if you take the job at Florida State fresh off of 2-10. Hey, help me understand what the heck happened.
Well, I think what happened was, the last year was kind of a perfect storm in a lot of ways for Gus when it came to this team. They had some issues at quarterback. Obviously, KJ Jefferson didn't turn out to be the kind of player that they thought he was going to be. Struggled. They went through like 4 different quarterbacks. I think the pressure of the season and everything that's associated with college football right now, I think with NIL and players wanting new deals and contracts and things like that, I think that wore on him a little bit last year. And then I think, midway through the season, let's not forget he he gave up play calling responsibilities. Although I was told that he was asked to give up play calling responsibilities. And Gus has always said, I'm a play caller at heart. I want to call plays. And I don't think that was going to be the case. If he came back this year, I don't think Gus would have been allowed to do play calls. I think he would have probably had to find someone to do that. And I don't necessarily think he was very happy about that. And so when the opportunity came out, when, Mike Norvell reached out to him and they were chatting in the off week, later in November, Mike Norvell told me that, he kind of was talking with Gus about some things, and all of a sudden it kind of popped in his head, this idea of having Gus maybe join him at Florida State, and he kind of broached it with him. And I think Gus got this idea of thinking, okay, well, this is maybe an opportunity for me to get back into doing straight play calling. I don't have to deal with transfer portal and NIL as much as I would as a head coach. And this gives me an opportunity to relax a little bit, not necessarily be, a head coach and have to deal with all the pressures of it. And so that's why I think ultimately he ended up leaving. I think he felt like that was an opportunity maybe to take a different direction for him. And listen, I thought Gus did, for what it was worth, I thought he did a good job coming in when this program was transitioning, from a G5 to a Power 4. It's not an easy transition. I thought we did well for the first couple of years. I just felt like over the last couple of years, it got more difficult, especially as we've seen the portal and NIL and everything has changed. I think it became a little more challenging, especially trying to raise money and try to make sure that you had enough to kind of get the right kind of players you want on your staff.
Matt, quickly, speaking of a couple others that are going to be departing, heading to SEC schools, Andrew Harris, linebacker, 6'2", 233. Elijah Brown, tight end, who's been now, he's toured basically the entire state of Florida and is going to head to Kentucky, 6'6", 250. You anticipate those two being heavy contributors for either of those programs?
I think Andrew Harris could be for sure. I think Andrew was a guy who was on the staff, again, who had a lot of potential. And they were rebuilding the linebacker unit here this year. He was in the mix of that, but I'm not sure if he felt like he was going to get the opportunity to start right away. And they brought in some guys who had more experience. So I think if he gets an opportunity, I think he has a chance to prove himself at linebacker. Elijah, we never really saw much. I mean, we saw a little bit of him on the field in spring because that's when he came in December. So I think, again, if he can find the right fit, I think he's got an opportunity. But he felt like he might have thought to have a better opportunity somewhere else. A little surprising to me because, again, they were a tight end position at UCF, was kind of thin, and I thought he would be a good fit. But obviously he didn't feel that way, and he's moving on somewhere else.
Finally, before we get you out of here, just kind of the Big 12 as a whole. Not that you guys are the longest tenured, but you're longer than most, considering the 4 additions last year. Nobody in their right mind saw Arizona State doing what they did last year. Colorado's resurgence was intriguing. But help us handicap the league a little bit. I mean, it's almost impossible for me to feel great. Like if you told me your life depended on picking the champion of the Big 12, I wouldn't take that risk. So help me understand what this group might look like and kind of across the board next year.
Yeah, I think that it's funny. Last year when we were at the Big 12 Media Days, Commissioner Brett Yormark talked about this being a league with a lot of parity, and I think he hit on it right away. I mean, you look at from top to bottom, I don't think with the teams we saw play there, Arizona State, BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, no one I think thought those teams would be at the top. And so I think it's going to be very much this way again this year. I think you're going to see some teams that are going to, that are probably going to surprise some people. I wouldn't be shocked to see Texas Tech and Joey McGuire make a good run at the top. I mean, they've done a good job of adding a lot of pieces in the offseason. If they can make a big push as well, I think Arizona State, even though I know they lost a lot of talent, I think they can make a big push. Utah, to me, is another program that I know they were down last year, but I feel like that's an opportunity for them to maybe bounce back as well. And Kansas State always seems to be at the top of this league, and I think Kansas State will be there once again. So there's a lot of interesting storylines to follow this year with Rich Rod at West Virginia. What's going on there? How does some of these other programs bounce back? TCU, and what Colorado does, without Shedeur and Sanders and Travis Hunter. So I think it's going to be an interesting year this year again in the Big 12.
Matt, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on with us. Really appreciate the time. Helped us kind of clean up a lot. We look forward to visiting with you again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care and have a good day.
Absolutely. Matt Murschel joining us of the Orlando Sentinel and Tribune. At OS Matt Marshall, you can follow him on Twitter and find his work there at the Orlando Sentinel. Good stuff there with some guys heading out, guys heading in. Scott Frost, what it's going to look like, don't really know. And I don't think a lot of people, Greg, expect him to be a real player in the Big 12 this fall.
I know. I think that they're one of the more fascinating programs, and they always have been. And I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon. I'm always kind of intrigued by what UCF is because I feel like they're such a young university that maybe they haven't necessarily consolidated the multi-millionaires yet. But in time, I feel like they're going to have great upside. They're one of those buy early type of programs. And I feel like if they can continue on the momentum that they've had, they have a real chance to do some things. So be interesting to see how it all fares for them moving forward.
All right. So we will probably not spend too much more time on UCF, but we did ask an interesting question on air yesterday. Could normal people, non-college football crazies, but that do pay attention to it, maybe casuals, as some would say, could they name 10 active college head football coaches? We all had that discussion with some out there. And if you have time to do it and want to call in later this hour, please do and let us know how it goes for you. We'll share our experience right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. I don't expect you to know offensive linemen.
Cole just listed off about 18 offensive linemen in the last 10 minutes. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I feel like I'm well versed in college football history and the
You're
NFL
not the
too.
offensive line, you're not.
But he's
And
like,
that's
oh
okay.
no, Steve McMichael.
No, Steve. Here's what happened. So Jeffrey Lee covers Auburn. He's been on the show before. He's doing his Mount Rushmore of certain positions in Auburn history, in Auburn lore. He did centers the other day. So a lot of people tagged me in it. First off, I do not deserve to be on that. And I happen to be in Detroit, and in the locker room, it has all the players that are in the Ring of Honor in Lions history, and Frank Gadsky is up there. So I took a picture of it, and I was like, I'd probably have this guy on it. Now, Frank Gadsky played at Marshall. His numbers actually retired at Marshall. He played his last year of football at Auburn. So I guess he was in the portal before there was, like, he was one of the original portal guys. But he went and fought in World War II, and he did not try to double dip and play at two schools, as some people believe. I've actually done research on Frank Gadsky, and I've tried to find more information on him because I'm really interested with his life and his career. But he also played for the Browns. He's in the Browns Ring of Honor. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's considered to be a top 10 player in Cleveland Browns history, in the franchise history. When you think about, I know they hadn't been great recently, but all time, Ozzie Newsome, Jim Brown, Joe Thomas. I mean, there's some guys all time, and this dude's up there. Gunnar Gadsky, his name. And one thing I love about him is the first quote that I read about him when somebody asked him going to World War II is he was like, listen, I was not in heavy combat. Like, just right out of the gate, he basically says, don't pretend that I'm one of those other guys that was out there, like, really getting it done. Like, I mean, not that he was embarrassed of going or anything, but he just is like, I don't want people to misconstrue this. I would probably have him on that list. If you're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I don't care if you played 1 game or 25 games or 80 games. You deserve to be on the list.
I think it's kind of tough to imagine a scenario in which you're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for 1 game. He
won 4 NFL championships. He was a 4-time first-team Pro Bowler. He's in the Cleveland Ring of Honor, and Marshall's retired his number. That's a pretty decent resume. If you're just going resume, but you're going to take some other guys and say, well, he won this trophy or won that trophy. Like, that's, if the end all be all is games played at a place, then, like, I would also have Shannon Robique on my list of Auburn centers all time. And he didn't win the Remington. He didn't win the Outland. He probably wasn't first team all SEC, but, like, all I know is Shannon Robique could play ball. He was a damn good football player and played a lot of games and was undersized doing it. But he didn't win a trophy that
is.
Have we seen the Remington voters? Like, because I'm not one, just so you know. Like, I need to know who votes on the award before I sit there and say, by God, Remington's best center in football.
I'm trying to think of who won it recently.
You're not one? Really?
Not qualified.
Seth McLaughlin won it last year. And I thought he deserved it, by the way. Now, I know he missed some games because of injury, but he was playing great football before that. Here are your winners. Now, I'm not saying they've never gotten it right, because a lot of years they have. Dominic Raiola, he's a first rounder. He deserved it. LaCharles Bentley, great player in the NFL and in college. The last few, Seth McLaughlin, Jackson Powers Johnson, Oregon. Oluwatomi, Michigan. Tyler Linderbaum, they got that one right. Landon Dickerson got that one right. Tyler Biadasz, Wisconsin. Garrett Bradbury, NC State. He was really good. Billy Price was good at Ohio State. Pat Elflein was good at Ohio State. Ryan Kelly deserved it at Bama. Reese Dismukes, Brian Stork, Barrett Jones.
You skipped one.
Where?
Well, you Reese Dismukes. He's on the list.
I don't remember all the centers in 2014. I'd have to go back and see the tape. You got 2014 tape? I'll go watch it. Brian Stork, Barrett Jones, David Mulk, Michigan.
Brian Stork.
He played at Florida. He's on the national championship team at Florida State. He's a good college player.
Yeah. I
don't know the other 13 centers, though. Like, pull up the 13 draft and see if anybody else got drafted ahead of him. I don't know. David Mulk, Michigan. Jake Kirkpatrick, TCU. Marquise Pouncey. Probably nailed that one. AQ Shipley. We've had AQ on the show. Hell of a player at Penn State. Jonathan Lees, Arkansas. Dan Moses, West Virginia. Ben Wilkerson and David Boss. Michigan split it in 2004. How about they'll split Remington? You don't get that one very often. Brett Romberg at Miami was really good. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of years it feels like they've gotten the best guy. I don't know who votes on it.
Did you say Brett Bromberg?
Bromberg.
Well, if you go to Bromberg's, you can get the best possible situation right now.
Yeah, but who votes on their diamonds?
Well, you don't need a vote. You just go in there and look at them. They're amazing. And right now, they have the event of the year is Bromberg's Big Diamond Sale, May 5th through 10th. You can save up to 50% off dazzling diamond jewelry and loose diamonds from Alabama's most trusted jeweler since 1836. Whether you're ready to pop the question, You want to spoil mom for Mother's Day? Add a little sparkle to your own collection. This is the moment to buy timeless engagement rings to everyday essentials like studs, bracelets, pendants. You'll find stunning pieces at unbeatable prices. So go and check them out in Mountain Brook Village and/or the Summit. The expert team will help guide you to the perfect diamond wrapped in the signature Bromberg silver box. But hurry in, these savings will not last. It's Bromberg's big diamond sale, 5th through 10th in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit.
So, I mean, I guess here's what would have to happen, though. So today he has tackles. He's got Kendall Simmons, who I played with. That I would have to look at the numbers, but I think Kendall played more games at guard than tackle at Auburn. I know he was like a backup tackle, and he would kick out when we needed him to. And I think he played a lot of tackle his senior year. He's got Willie Anderson, who's the standard. Willie Anderson is one of the greatest players in Auburn football history. He should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I have no question about that. He just won the Bengals Ring of Honor, I think, last year or 2 years ago.
I don't recall, but
he has Geno James, who I played with. Geno was one of 3 individuals that I have played football with at any level at any time that just most humans would never mess with. Like, he was not the dude you want to meet in an alley, ever. And the nicest guy ever. Like, literally wrote poetry.
Really?
But
soft.
But could literally kill you with his bare hands.
So he had to write poetry just to keep himself sane. He needed that balance.
Well, that was the thing. Like, we talked about, I don't know if we mentioned on the show, we talked about in the break, like Peter Burns' tweet when he said, like, oh, if we're going to war with the gorilla, these are the first people that I want. Like, one of them was Trendon Holiday, and one of them was like Ed Orgeron when he was at Ole Miss. It's like, tell me you never played college football without telling you played college football. Because we all have like 3 guys that not a lot of people know that are definitely the first ones off that bus.
Yes.
Like,
and
Robert,
I'm going
to tell you, Robert Baker, Leonardo Carson, Geno James, those were my first 3 off the bus.
Yeah, 55-year-old man is not one of them.
I mean, I could go down. There's a couple others that I'm not going to name because the reasons that we don't even want to get into. But and then Wayne Gandy's on there last. Wayne Gandy's great. Wayne Gandy's awesome. But no Marcus McNeil, no Steve Wallace, who won 4 Super Bowls with the 49ers. I guess if you're just looking at credentials, like Steve Wallace was 2nd team All-Pro twice, made the Pro Bowl once. So people probably look at him as, oh, he wasn't really great. I know that dude started on 3 Super Bowl teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. So what are like Marcus McNeil's, quote fingers credentials? 2-time Pro Bowler, which I guess that was on the tail end of when Pro Bowlers still kind of mattered. I don't know. Like how do you?
Pro Bowlers definitely don't matter.
For the people that are just looking at resume, like how do you? I don't know. Like just go ask the guys that played with him. I know the dude was dominant in the NFL, and the dude was dominant in. If we're going just college career, Greg Robinson deserves part of the conversation. But Steve Wallace, I guess I could see because you didn't see a lot of it. But no Marcus McNeil. Booey. But that's me. That's everybody has their own opinion. It's fine. It's fine.
I really trust a lot of lists that have offensive linemen on them. So I know how hard people are working grinding that tape. I might listen to some people's lists on quarterbacks, but offensive line, yeah, probably not going to take that one. Individual offensive line play, yeah, I'm definitely not going to take that one.
Are you sure?
I talked to 2 people in my household that watch very close college football yesterday, and they couldn't name very many coaches at all. And you think I'm going to take the average fan with no access to game tape, their assessment of offensive line play? Yeah, I'll sit that one out.
Let's give you some added value then, right here on Zox. That's what we like to do. Introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad, the co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville, also designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama. Multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today?
Thanks, Cole. What I'd like to do today is talk about something that none of us really like to think about, which is market volatility. And particularly as you near retirement, it's very important that you're not overexposed to risk with too much of your investment money, because for most of you, you're going to need that money to live on. If you've got too much risk in your investments and we go through a big market downturn and you're pulling money out at the same time, now you're having to sell when markets are down to pay your bills. That's called sequence of returns risk. That and the strategies on how to insulate you from that, we cover in our Retire with Freedom course that we do at our office on Valleydale Road. If you would like to attend the next course, we cover that and many other strategies for retirement planning. Text JOCKS at 205-988-0006, 205-988-0006.
This is a paid placement. Investment advisory services are made available through AE Wealth Management. For more information about Forbes rankings, visit Forbes.com.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:51 right here on Jocks 94.5. So yesterday we laid it out. We'll try to cover this a little bit now, and then when we come back before we get to Joe Cook. Could normal people, not college football crazies like us, name 10 college head coaches? And Greg, with some confidence, was like, I mean, think about it. Like our wives, like they're around it. They hear it. So I sat my wife down yesterday. Okay. I got home. I said, babe, we got to have a conversation. Okay. I said, I got to ask you some questions. I said, can you name 10 active college head football coaches? She goes, yeah. Got the piece of paper out, got the pen out. I said, let's go. She said, Freeze, Kiffin. And I said, do you know his first name? It took a few minutes.
Wow.
She finally got the lane. Her next answer was, oh, yeah, Clemson, Bobo.
Clemson, Bobo.
I said, there is a Bobo out there who's no longer an active head coach. She goes, Correct. Come back to it. I'll get it. Kevin at Alabama, who she's actually met and had a long conversation with in person.
Kevin.
She did come back later and say, no. I know it now. She started out, she said, Kevin Moore, no. And she came back and did finally get Kalen DeBoer.
Kellen Moore.
It took some time. and then she goes, hold on. Yes, Sam. You know him, Sam.
She said, you know him? Yeah, I'd hope.
Now, she met Pittman on the field before the SEC championship game. The last year Pittman was at Georgia, and he talked to her for like 20 minutes. She was visibly pregnant at the time. He like offered Locke at the time when he was still in my wife's belly. It was funny. It was a funny conversation. She goes, yeah. She said, Pittman. She's like, where is he? I'm like, this is not how this conversation is supposed to go. That's not it.
No.
She did end up figuring out Arkansas.
There you go.
So then it's not going well at this point. She said, Jenny Nixon's husband. I said, that doesn't work for me or anyone.
People. Yeah.
She was like the guy that you know that you're friends with, the guy that he was around here and now he's not. He's at the other school.
Okay.
This is how this
Stay
convo's
hot.
going. Now keep in mind, this individual has to hear her husband talk about football literally every day, college football every day, and not just this show, but interviews doing at home, like podcasts I'm joining, like things I bring up with her as we just talk about it.
Yep.
She said, my sorority sister married him. I said, John Summerall at Tulane? She said, yes.
There you go.
Like, well, don't act like you got it. So we're trying to think of some others, Greg, and I said, okay, let me switch gears here because you brought this part of it up. I said, what if I showed you pictures of these guys?
Yep.
She goes, oh, yeah. Yes, easy.
Love it.
First picture was Shane Beamer.
Yeah.
She said,
That's a hard one.
no, she said, oh, yeah, no, I've seen that guy.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, think about it. I've had Carolina a pretty decent amount the last 2 years. So like, she tries to watch our games. And she goes, I don't know the school. So I showed her a picture of Sark. She said, yeah, that guy, snazzy guy.
That almost counts.
That counts. Nailed it.
Didn't get it. Showed her a picture of Heupel.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he's Tennessee, right? And I said, but we're not playing a matching game here.
Yeah.
Like, this is not multiple choice. And then she said, I'll say this. If you gave me multiple choice, I could nail these.
All right.
Showed her Mario Cristobal's photo.
Mhm.
Now, this is where the conversation actually gets kind of fun. She said, oh, yeah, I know that guy. She's like, he used to be a Sunbelt coach.
Sunbelt? Why?
And so then this.
At
then
FIU.
This makes a lot of sense. She said, here's what you got to understand, Cole. Before these 3 kids, I actually really paid attention to your career.
Yeah.
She said, I remember you interviewing that guy
Yeah.
when he was at a Sunbelt school. And I said, FIU, you're right.
There you go.
Yes, for sure. She goes, but no, I don't know his name. This is the best one. Now, I want you to think about my past and my career.
Right.
I show her Dan Lanning's photograph.
Okay.
I mean, split second right out of the gate. She says, oh, yeah. That's that guy that you interviewed that said he was going somewhere and he wasn't going. Or he said he wasn't going, but then he was going and he ended up going. And I mean, I'm just like dying laughing. And I was like, I know who you're talking about. And no, that's not him.
close.
Love it.
She
did pretty good.
That is not him.
Wait, you should hear Meredith. And then Meredith was such a lost cause. I had to revert to my mom. And I will give you that information.
And John will have some as well. I showed her James Franklin's photograph.
Yes.
Okay.
Quote, I've never seen that man in my life. Showed her Dan Mullen's picture. Oh, yeah, I know who that is. Couldn't give a name.
Not a name.
Nor
No
a
chance.
school that he had been at.
No.
We'll
No
continue this
shot.
conversation next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We were running through some of the answers that my wife gave me when I asked her, what could you name? Could you name 10 college football head coaches, like current college football coaches? And we thought the answer yesterday, 10 was a good over-under for that, and thought that Greg thought that was a fair number. I thought that was a fair number. It wasn't for my wife. She didn't get close. There were a couple of other answers, though, that she gave that I want to get to before we move on to Greg's wife, and then he subsequently went to his mom and asked these questions. I showed her a photograph of Rhett Lashley.
Okay.
Because we had to move on to, if you showed me the pictures, I would know who they were. Didn't add, I would know where they coach. She said, yes. Oh, absolutely, yes. She goes, that's the guy that was at Auburn and took all the blame.
Well, she nailed that one.
That's actually right. Okay. That counts.
We're going to allow that. Yeah. Moving on. I showed her a picture of Coach Prime.
Okay.
I was like, this is an easy one, babe.
Right.
She said, I've never seen that man in my life. Now, I will say, I showed her a photograph of him in a suit, shirt, and tie.
Right.
No sunglasses, no chain, no hat, no nothing.
Okay.
So, because everything, all the other photographs had all Colorado stuff all over it.
Yeah.
So I thought they'd been cheating just a little bit.
Sure. That would definitely be
one that we
away.
went to yesterday that we thought could be a win. I showed her a photograph of Brett Bielema. And she says, oh, yeah, I've seen that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that's not the question, is have you seen the face before? Showed her Mike Gundy, because we thought that was one that he's been in the media.
Okay,
he's done
yeah.
things like other parts of it. She said, I have no idea who that man is.
Out.
So not only do we not get to 10, I don't think we could have gotten 10 with headshots.
No, I don't think you could have gotten, I don't know if you got to 5.
But we did get some great answers.
But she did better than Meredith. Meredith McElroy. Who is the head coach of Alabama? Kalen DeBoer. Perfect. Good start. Feeling great about it. Who is the head coach at Auburn?
Kevin Moore was what we got.
Who is the head coach at Auburn? Laughs. I'm just writing down what I'm observing. Laughs. I can't. Don't make me do this. I'll go viral. Shows her a picture. No clue. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, we know it. You're an Alabama household. That makes sense. We might allow that one.
Fair.
Okay. All
I
right.
called the Iron Bowl last year, but don't worry about that. Georgia. Please don't make me do this. Quote, he literally coached me at Alabama. You have spent hours with this man. End quote. Shakes her head and laughs. I said, okay, we'll just try the pictures because I know we're not going to be able to nail the schools.
Got it.
Shows picture of Marcus Freeman. Quote, yeah, he's really cute, but I forgot. Notre Dame. Obviously, he's wearing a Notre Dame sweater. Thank you. No idea that, trying to ignore the fact, like she was smart by observing that the guy had a Notre Dame crest on his left pec. All right.
I did ask her at the end. I said, do you think you would know who Marcus Freeman is? She goes, I've never heard that name in my life. Got it. No.
Right. Shows picture of Brian Kelly. No clue. Simple as that. Finally, at this point, I realized what a lost cause we are. We have no chance of getting to 10, let alone 2. I figured maybe, just maybe, we'd get this one. Shows her a picture of Dion in a Colorado hoodie. Quote, no idea and don't even know the school. End quote. At that point, I said, this is finished. I'm calling my mom. My mom has a better shot. Feel pretty good about mom. And then she gave me a couple beauties. All right. Mom, who's the head coach of Alabama? Kalen DeBoer. Nailed it.
I like that you're even allowing specifics. Like, I left it totally open-ended at first. Like, can you give me a college head coach?
I had to lead the witness a little bit. I didn't think there was any chance of us getting it.
That's a good strategy.
All right. Mom, who is the head coach of Auburn? I don't know the football coach, but I know the basketball coach, Pearl. Brad Pearl.
Oh.
Bruce Pearl. She did fix it.
Okay.
She fixed it on her own.
She's
Got
there.
it.
All right. The Brad Pearl, Bruce Pearl, that to me is close enough.
It's the same neighborhood.
I asked for the football.
Just two doors down. You're good.
I asked for the football coach, though. Okay. Georgia, Kirby Smart. Nailed it. Felt good about
There
it.
we go.
Texas, Steve Sarkisian. Nailed it. Felt good about it. Notre Dame, used to be Brian Kelly. I can see him. I love him. He's very cute and young. Freeman. Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Felt
Let's
good
go.
about it. All right,
Let's go.
mom's off to a good start. So I figured after that question, I'd say, where is Brian Kelly now? She answers by saying, LSU or UCLA?
One of the two. It's really close. The colors are in the same
Yes.
stratosphere.
Right.
LSU or UCLA?
Same mascot,
I figure that's 50%. I felt good about it. And then she said,
just same type programs too, like just really mirror after one another.
And then she went on to say, okay, wait, no, Brian Kelly's at UCLA, Chip Kelly's at LSU. Got it reversed.
Yeah.
Got it.
But she's in the ballpark.
To me, close enough.
She's in the ballpark.
I felt good about it.
Okay.
You can't be mad at it.
So I next go to Miami. Her response is, I don't know, but I should. Someone kind of famous. It's coming to me. Does it start with a C? He looks so familiar once I showed her the picture. And she ended up not getting it. So
famous.
Start with a C, though. That counts. Felt good about it.
He did play offensive line at Miami.
Partial credit.
Who does Dion coach? Colorado.
Boom.
She nailed that
Wow.
one. Felt good about it. Next one. Tennessee. She said Josh Heupel.
Hey,
That's a win, though.
Then she went
knows
on.
ball.
She went on to say you threw against him at Elite 11. He went to Oklahoma. I threw against Jason White.
What's the difference?
But to
Other
me,
than the Heisman.
close enough.
So right there.
Close enough.
I'll allow it.
I felt good about it.
I will
And
allow it.
I told her it's Heupel, not Heibel.
hey, she's there. She's there.
All right, USC Lincoln Riley nailed it.
Okay.
All right, here's where it starts to get really interesting. Florida, Hugh Freeze.
Right there.
Yes.
Same colors. Yeah.
And she said, it used to be my favorite coach from Mississippi State, but he got fired. That was all she said.
Zach Arnett.
Not his name.
But no. So Florida has Hugh Freeze as a head coach. Florida State, her alma mater, mind
Oh
you.
boy, here we go.
Her alma mater.
Oh boy.
Used to coach for Grant at Arizona State. Your dad knows him. Great guy. Novell. All right. Not to be confused with the thing you read. Novell.
Close.
All right. Pretty good. The best is she not only messed up Todd Graham's name, she said that my dad knows
What
him.
did she say before? I didn't even know that was a mistake in Todd Graham. What did she call it?
He used to coach for Grant at Arizona State. Gotcha. All right. Clemson, Dabo Swinney. Felt good about it. North Carolina, Belichick. She
Better
got
than
that
Bobo.
one. All right. Texas A&M. I knew she wouldn't get this one. I know who it used to be. The coach from Florida State that was supposed to take the program. I almost said Kirby Smart. They swiped him and it didn't pan out.
Mama
I feel like she did pretty good.
That's
actually
okay.
She
I
knows
felt good
ball.
about it.
really good.
Fairly
yeah.
there.
That's good.
She knows
All right.
ball.
I like some of these. All right. Michigan. It used to be Harbaugh, whose brother coaches in the NFL.
That is correct.
That's actually
That's a fact.
impressive.
I also
Yeah.
said, Mom, you do know that Jim Harbaugh also now coaches in the NFL,
Details.
to which she did not know. Not important.
But the coach is also getting suspended now, so it's really just the same.
All right. Then my two favorites, Hawaii,
Oh boy.
my dad's alma mater. I'm not saying she should know this.
They play
the coach-
late. They play late though. You can't stay.
The
up
coach
there.
that left, the June guy, left SMU.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, man, she way
The
back.
June
At,
guy.
at one point in time.
That was literally 5 coaches ago. Coach Grant was there more recently than June Jones. And then my favorite one. This is so good. Arkansas.
Oh wow.
Did he get in trouble at one point and now he's back?
Oh boy. OC.
He is a.
Okay.
That is correct. He is a coach there.
Hang on. The level of confusion on this one is so good. Did he get in trouble at one point and now he's back? And then she goes, Art Briles. And I go,
Wow.
And then she goes, oh, no. That's the stadium. I don't know the coach. So she, Frank Broyles.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Also, stadium not named Broyles Stadium.
Not
It's
quite.
Reynolds Razorback Stadium.
Correct, right, yeah.
Art Briles obviously not connected to Arkansas whatsoever. His son Kendall
I was going to give her credit for Kendall being
Kendall
there
was
for a
there.
time. Yes.
But Bobby Petrino is the coach she's referencing, who is now back as the offensive coordinator. All that to be said, she had no idea who Sam Pittman was.
I'm still going to go with impressed.
I felt good about it.
Like
I felt great about it.
That is, I don't know if we got to 10 total over
But
or
she's
not,
around
but
the
it, but
ballpark. Like,
yeah, that's. Here's the thing: there was a lot of information given that is just flat out not going to be known by a lot of other people. So
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
She knew some of the backstory.
Okay.
She confused a few people.
My wife is getting a D. I would give your mom a C plus.
Yeah.
maybe
solid.
B minus.
You know,
Yes.
Hugh Freeze coaching at Florida is a tough sell.
Yeah.
Not knowing your alma mater.
That's a tough one.
But
But did know where he was previously.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So some of those dots were connected via lengthy paths and lines driven across each other.
Kirby
but-
Smart at A&M, not great.
Yeah. Yes.
Not great.
Defensive coordinator, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, John, you had a similar conversation.
Chip Kelly at LSU.
That kind of counts.
Brian
yeah.
at UCLA.
Yes. Last night before bed, I'd forgotten about the conversation. I was like, oh, she was reading. And at this point, like her brain's done. So I'm like, okay, this is honestly probably the best time to ask because it'll kind of make her look foolish and kind of help out with our bit right here. I said, hey, do you think you can name 10 college football coaches? She said, do I have to name them by name or can I tell you a lot about them and that counts? Like, we'll see. Because full disclosure, she's not that great with names. I have 2 siblings and we've been together for 5 years. She struggles with that.
Same.
So I was like, okay, well, let's see.
Yeah.
What can you do? Right out the gate, Ryan Day. She was born in
you
Ohio.
go.
Her dad's a Ohio State
Still
fan.
though.
Makes sense. Like, all right, cool, got that one. Hugh Freeze, boom. Okay, cool.
Is she
Caleb?
giving you schools with them or just the name?
No, I just asked.
Okay.
Can you give me the name? Next one, Kalen DeBoer. All right.
Okay.
That's a win.
Kirby Smart. Boom. All right,
Wow,
we got
we're
it.
rolling.
Yeah, okay. The guy that was at Notre Dame, but he's at LSU now. I was like, okay, can you give me his name? No.
But still,
I was like, all right.
She knows.
I'll
valid
kinda count that one.
information.
There's a new guy at Michigan. It was Harbaugh, but it's someone new. I don't know his name, but he looks like one of your coworkers. I was like, former coworker, but yeah. But yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
Oh, Kirby Smart. Yeah. All right, cool. We're on a roll. Get it going. Who's one that everyone
I
knows?
feel like that's like 5 already.
That's that were 3 by name or 4 by name and 1 kind of
Okay.
or 2 kind of know.
Fair.
Not
but-
bad.
She had Dion.
Yeah.
She gave me Sark. So I'm like, all
But
right,
that's
cool.
it. Just Sark.
Steve Sarkeesian. No, she
Oh,
said Sarkeesian.
okay.
Hold on. I know the
Nice.
name.
Nice.
Frank.
All right.
No. Steve. Boom. Okay, we'll take it.
Better than the guy that's snazzy.
Then there's a guy that at Missouri. He's kind of weird, but people like him now. I was like, all right. He has a funny name. Can you give me something? Ely. No. Eli. Yes. All right. I'll give you that.
Hey,
There you
Eli
go.
Draper.
Yeah.
All right.
I
There
would
we go.
never have gotten. My wife would have never gotten that.
The guy at Florida, his name is Napier. I'm like, all right, good. Like,
Hey.
we're going to
Goodness
represent.
gracious.
Things are going to be good.
This is incredible.
Then we started to fall off a little bit. The guy at UAB, he has a dog. I was like, okay.
He might.
I mean, his dog was on the sidelines. Kind of like, all right, I'll give you Dilford. Okay, all right. She said there was one at Mississippi State. Sadly, he died. His name, he loved pirates. I knew that.
Win.
I was like, all right, cool. Can you give
Count
me
it.
anything else? It's like,
Unfortunately,
that-
not active, but
no, right. I was like, yeah,
it is a coach.
there have been 2 since. So, what else can you give me? There's a guy at Notre Dame. He's fine as hell.
Wow. I'm going to be honest. I didn't know Marcus was on that level because that has been the
yeah,
reoccurring
he got-
theme
he
from
got some
everyone who
juice.
has
He got some
referenced
juice.
that.
Dude's got it.
Yeah, no, he's good looking, man.
But dude, she couldn't give me the name. There's the guy at Tennessee that looks kind of chunky and speaks funny.
He's
I was
not
like,
Marcus
yeah.
Freeman, is what you're saying.
No, correct, right. No, the anti, right. Looks like a cartoon character. I was like, yeah, that's
Mm.
he's referred to as Bobby Hill. Yeah, okay, yeah. And then the last one, the guy at Clemson, I know his face because I kind of counted these because she could describe him but didn't know the name. It's like he's like Ned Flanders, but he's from Alabama. It's like,
Ned Flanders.
you know what? Yeah,
No.
I'll give you that. Okay, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not Ned Flanders.
So I was like, you know what?
Again, better than Bobo.
Yes. She got a little confused sometimes. I was like, you know what? All right, you pick up a fair amount sitting on the couch watching ball with me.
I feel like that is relevant information. It's really close. It's better than a lot of the other answers that we got. So I'm thinking that's a lot of wins there. It's a lot of W's. That
As
we
a
just
show,
racked up.
we all did well.
I mean, no, we didn't all do well.
Meredith struggled.
I'm trying to help as a show. We all like.
But it's
Cat-
good,
Cat-
like the
team.
connections that they
Cat
have.
should have done a lot better, other than Jenny Nixon's husband.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My wife does not care, even when I was playing. Like she cared because she was friends with Preston Dial. She cared because she was friends with David Ross. Like she didn't care about whether or not they caught 7 passes. She cared that they stayed healthy. Like, they didn't get hit hard. Like, she did not care. Like, my wife has never cared about college football. So I didn't expect her I thought she'd get Hugh Freeze. I mean, we see him literally multiple times a year in cordial settings. I thought she'd get Marcus Freeman. I called 6 of their games last year. And I'd like to think she watched 1 or 2 in the playoffs.
Ended on a couple of them too. Like
I mean, like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, and he's good looking. Like, how hard is this? I thought she would get Steve Sarkisian. I thought she'd get Kirby Smart. I thought she'd get Dabo Sweeney. All of which whoosh, straight over her head.
Yeah. Also, with your playing days, I feel like Kirby would have been an easy one.
Yeah,
that
felt like a layup.
Literally. Like, Kirby Smart was invited to our wedding.
If this were 2 years ago and you would have asked her who's the head coach at Central Michigan, would she have gotten it?
No shot.
You played for him.
She wouldn't know. I'm telling you.
My big takeaway from this was not that most normal folk wouldn't know 10 college football coaches. My biggest takeaway from this was my wife used to care about my career and no longer does.
Just completely checked out.
If there's one thing that we've learned is that when kids come,
the impact of children subtracts attention and care of a lot of other things.
You think your career?
Yeah.
How about just you
You're now
in general?
The bottom of the pecking order.
Yes.
Used to be near the top.
But it's also like where their headspace is. Like, they know faces. Like, your mom saying that she knew like the timeline in which some of these coaches were. It's like, okay, well,
she knew the story.
Yeah. It's kind of like the background to get to where they are.
The names aren't as important as the background. I would agree with that.
Well, it's like when referencing Mario Cristobal as Sunbelt coach. I knew him.
Right.
Or like Sam Pittman, the guy I met on the field. Like, yeah, I know him. Like, no idea where he is or what he's been up to or if he's been successful, And then thinking that Dan Lanning was Tom Herman was also great.
That is good.
That's a win.
That's
for
a
sure.
Very big win.
All right, so there was our practice. Oh, and that Rhett Lashley was the guy that was at Auburn that took all the blame.
Took all the blame. It's all his fault.
Like you said, there's a lot of accuracy in paying attention to some of this. It's just not maybe overly applicable now to what they're doing, but it's still there and it's still out there. So if you guys get any similar information, share it with us, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Also tweet in at Mac and Cube. When we come back, speaking of that snazzy coach, we'll talk to Joe Cook about Steve Sarkisian and his roster next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:21, Tuesday, May 6th. Jocks 94.5. A lot of fun with the conversations around casuals being able to name 10 active college head football coaches. Could you or could you not?
I felt like we did pretty
I
good.
feel like you did great. Good answers, good info, good insight to everything that was taking place there. Kind of like if you need a good floor, you know exactly who to call.
That'd be Shannara Flooring. Fu and his team have done an amazing job for years and years and years, making sure that your home is taken care of when you go with Fu and his company, Shannara Flooring. They do such a great job. And what I love most is they have so much inventory in stock right now that you can go and see it, touch it, feel it, and make the assessment right there in person as to whether or not this flooring is for you. They're my go-to with that Core Tech flooring by Shaw in stock, 40,000 square feet of it that are right there. So easy to clean, so easy to maintain, kid-proof, pet-proof, waterproof, ideal for kitchens, laundry rooms, bathrooms, and pretty much anywhere in your home or business that you want to add value. 12 months financing with approved credit. So call them today at 205-518-6423 or go online at footandyou.com.
All right, let's bring in Joe Cook. He covers the Texas Longhorns. And Joe, we had a lengthy conversation yesterday about the Texas quarterback room that essentially turned into why or why not guys would leave one place to go to another place. We know now that one has been added for depth. Nobody believes that he's really going to come in and actually compete for Arch's starting job, but just kind of take us through why Sark needed to add another body and where they are from a quarterback depth chart perspective as we stand here today.
Yeah, so obviously, guy from y'all's neck of the woods are a little bit closer to y'all than me from Auburn High School. Played at Jacksonville State, Gardner-Webb, Troy, and Texas beat the Auburn Tigers for his commitment there out of the portal coming from Troy. Basically, this is a way so that, let's say Arch Manning is not able to finish a game or has to miss a start for whatever reason. Something that's happened in most of the Texas football seasons this century, where they've had a starter, the starting quarterback miss a game or the backup quarterback be needed. This is so you don't have a redshirt freshman or a true freshman coming in and playing in these big games. Let's say this happened in the Swamp. I know he's still someone coming from the Sun Belt and who had to come up from the FCS level, but this is still a fifth-year player who's played a lot of football. It's not a guy making literally what would be his first career start at the Swamp. So what this does, it gives Texas four quarterbacks. You obviously got Arch Manning at the top, but then what Miller brings is a little bit of, Caldwell brings is something. He's not going to be like Arch Manning, but it makes the offense look similar enough when he comes in to where you're not just like scrapping the game plan and going to something else. Trey Owens, the redshirt freshman, not as mobile as viewers, and then KJ Lacey, who is from Saraland, a mobile guy, but he's also about 6 foot and maybe 190. So this gives you somebody who's got experience, who runs a little bit of a similar offense to what Sark does, what he did at Troy, and then just provides an insurance policy to where if you need somebody to finish a game, or if you need somebody to start one game in the SEC or something like that, you're not relying on a redshirt freshman. You're relying on a fifth-year senior who's played a lot of college football.
Looking at their roster, it feels like there's very few holes. You got to love their personnel. You got to love what they have coming back at certain spots. But I do have concerns about offensive and defensive line. Maybe it's because of just how good they've been the last couple of years. Maybe I just all those things make me a little anxious. I don't really know. But help me understand, how have they addressed some of the turnover that they've had there on the interior of the offensive and defensive line the last couple of years?
Yeah, so last year, you had Kelvin, one guy, two guy, three guys get drafted, one signed an undrafted free agent deal from last year's offensive line. You have one returner in your right guard in DJ Campbell. But the good news for Texas is when you have this type of problem to solve, you would prefer to have, older players. Having freshman O-linemen, unless they are just standouts like Kelvin Banks, normally isn't a recipe for success. So the prospective left tackle, Trevor Gooseby, who played against Texas A&M and against Georgia and Clemson, I believe, he's going to be a third-year player. Their left guard's a fourth-year player. The next center is a fourth-year player. DJ Campbell's a fourth-year player. The only position where they may have a second-year guy is right tackle, and that's the result of a 5-star from California and Brandon Baker, a second-year guy, being there. So, yeah, you are trying to replace 4 starters, which is never easy. And, that's always going to be a tough task no matter what you do. But if you have to do it, you'd rather look for, 3rd or 4th-year guys instead of looking, for the most part, to freshmen or maybe redshirt freshmen. So that's still a storyline. We'll see what happens there, because there's, the returns during camp have not been, just 100% glowing. They haven't been like terrible, like they've been getting torn up, but you want everything to be in a row for Arch Manning, just for lack of a better term. On defense, they basically, their 2024 class, the class that's about to be second-year players, just a lot of misses. What they were able to do over the past couple of years is make use of a lot of really good recruiting from a lot of guys who were Tom Herman signees. Mora Ojimo, Keandre Coburn, Tavondre Sweat, Alfred Collins, Vernon Broughton, all those guys signed with Tom Herman. Byron Murphy committed to Herman but never played for him, was in Sark's first class. So that's a ton of guys who just were there on the roster that they made the most of. Those are guys that Bo Davis developed and put in the NFL. But Bo Davis wasn't all the way there when he was recruiting. Just was not up to the level that they needed to continue. So you've seen them go to the portal a ton over these past couple cycles. And they took, over the past few years, they've gotten a lot of one-year rentals. This time, they got a couple guys they'll only have for a year, but they got a few more, namely Murad Watson from Syracuse, who they're going to have for a couple of years. They're second-year players. And so a lot of that's backfilling that 2024 class that they had some misses on. And then they went and signed, I believe, 4 in the 2025 cycle, including a 5-star in Justice Terry. So that position's looking better in the future, but they needed to go to the portal for some additions now. And they did get some good impact guys, I feel like, on the defensive line, to where the rest of that defense won't suffer as a result.
What about Arch? And I know that so many people are so excited about him. I can't wait to watch him. But I look back at the tape last year, and I still think that some of the expectations for him are unfair. And you know what I mean? It's like the guy I think he's going to be a great player, but to think that he's going to be day one what his brothers were or what his uncles were in the NFL year 12 is just not a realistic expectation. So how is he handling the moment here this offseason going into his first year as a starter?
Yeah, we got to talk to him once during spring football over the course of media availabilities. And we even asked Stark about this. It's like, it's not going to always be sunshine and rainbows. Like, there's going to be a point where you throw an interception or something like that, or just something doesn't look, like everybody thinks it's supposed to do with Arch Manning playing out there. And Steve Sarkisian, he almost joked about it. So like, you mean, how is Arch going to deal with adversity? He goes, you mean when they start booing him? So he understands that there's a lot that comes with being the quarterback at Texas. It's not just NIL deals. It's not just, the cheers from the crowd. There's scrutiny. He can ask Quinn Ewers about all the scrutiny that comes with that job. But it sounds like they have made it clear to him that, you know what, it's not always going to be great. You're going to have to figure this out. You're going to have to, learn how to overcome some different things. And that's your job as the quarterback. And oddly enough, when you're Arch Manning, you don't come off the bench. He only joked that, the only time in his life he's really been a backup was for his high school basketball team. So for him, getting to Texas and not starting for not just 1 year, but 2 years, and for one of those years being the third stringer, that was kind of adversity for him. And so there's so much of the storyline that praises him for sticking around, especially when you look at some other quarterbacks in his class that transferred very, very quickly out of their first school to now to where he's got this point. And I'm with you. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, he's got this number one overall prospect and ranking and pedigree and stuff like that. But I think there's a small difference in that, he's not just coming in after mop-up duty for most of his career. Like, he started real games, including, I know it was Mississippi State last year, but it was against Mississippi State. He saw real action and had to lead a It wasn't just a fourth down gimmick offense. It was designed to look like a real offense and in big moments. So, like, for someone whose amounts of starts you can count on one hand, you're getting someone with the right amount of experience to where a lot of this stuff isn't going to be just shockingly new to him. It'll be something he's seen before, just maybe not on the week to week to week to week basis, and that'll be the big adjustment for him.
Visiting with Joe Cook, he covers the Texas Longhorns. You mentioned transfers on that defensive side of the football, some of the defensive tackles that have been great recently. That was the big question at this point in the year going into the season. Running back, I think, would become that also once we got through spring ball and maybe a little bit further into fall camp. But that is another question with this team this year. We know the edges are going to be great. Off-the-ball linebacker is going to be solid, so there'll be some help up front. But what is your expectation for the middle of this defense again? Can they sort of replace and be close to what they were last year like they did from 2 years ago?
There's a lot of faith in what Cole Brevard, a Purdue transfer, is going to be able to provide. 6'2", 6'3", or so, 350 pounds, kind of that nose that Steve Sarkisian and Pete Kwiatkowski like having on that defensive tackle spot. After that, that's where the rotation's probably not going to be known until fall camp. They really like to platoon their defensive tackles, give each two-man group around 30-ish snaps a game to keep them fresh, and then really ramp things up for the big contest. But the rest of that platoon is going to be interesting. I think Murad Watson, the Syracuse freshman All-American transfer, that may have been the most important defensive transfer that they brought in, just because if you watch his tape, there's a good clip of him basically playing. If there's a technique, he's playing it on the defensive line against Washington State in their bowl game. I think he's going to make a big impact. They also have a true sophomore in Alex January, who played some meaningful snaps against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl last year. And they brought in some more experienced guys. They have Travis Shaw from North Carolina, Hero Canoe from Ohio State. They added one of the guys I was talking about, a second-year transfer, Levon Johnson from Maryland. So they like to have basically four play the bulk of the snaps, get to six sometimes for some spots for about 10 snaps a game. And they definitely brought in enough guys to throw numbers at those problems. I think Watson and I think Brevard are going to be guys that they can trust on the front lines. It's just about finding the 3, 4, and maybe even 5 to make it all work when those guys aren't on the field.
Finally, when you look at kind of how things are going to be set up in the SEC this year, it appears like their schedule is going to be slightly more difficult. You obviously have a very difficult non-conference game with Ohio State. Are the expectations of SEC championship or bust reasonable, or should they be somewhat tempered?
It's when I think about replacing 4 starters on the offensive line and replacing a starter quarterback and thinking about having to go to Georgia and going to Florida, and they don't play a home game between road games, bye weeks, and neutral site games in the month of October. So that's a tough schedule to navigate. But I think if the guys that they're using to replace these returning or these lost starters are from top 5 recruiting classes. The quarterback that is being replaced, Quinn Ewers, is being replaced by Arch Manning. I'm always kind of creating expectations is something I'm not great at. If I were putting on a fan hat, I would say, you know what, I'd really like to be hosting a home playoff game at the very worst. I think that's what Texas should be doing at the baseline in these types of seasons with this team. But of course, they want to go to Atlanta and play in the SEC championship and win it in their first 2 years after falling just short. And getting that first round bye, which we saw, maybe that's not worth everything. But I think from a fan's perspective, they want to be one of the top 6, top 7 teams, to where if they're not winning the SEC championship, they know they're playing a home game. And we saw that can maybe give you a little spark of momentum. So I think that's where Texas fans are really being honest with themselves. They want things to start there and go up from there. Steve Sarkisian, every chance he gets, talks about wanting to play in late January and doing everything within the program structured and planned around that, whether it be how workouts go, how players play in the games, how stuff like that goes. everything is focused on getting to late January. But from my perspective, I think Texas, you're not doing anything close to what you wanted this year if you're not playing a game in late December.
Joe Cook covers Texas, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Great stuff, Joe. Thank you. Appreciate that. Great updates on the Texas roster, kind of where things are headed, the mentality there in Austin. Look forward to catching up again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
That's Joe Cook joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. Okay, when we come back, we will continue talking a little bit of Texas, a little bit of college football. Should they be sort of the standard in the SEC when you're talking about getting to the playoff, maybe winning a national championship this upcoming season? Before we do that, Greg, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Polar Bear Services has been taking great care of me for a very long time. I'm always incredibly grateful to the service and the experience that I have when I work with Wes and the guys at Polar Bear Services. They've come out, they've taken care of my HVAC for years. I've never had any issues with it as a result. They replaced heater, they replaced a pan, they replaced all kinds of other stuff. And since they've touched it, haven't had any problems whatsoever. They've done tune-ups annually. They do the duct clean. They do the repair. They do the new installations. We know that the hot weather will be here soon enough. So make sure that your home is prepared for the test by Polar Bear Services. They also do your plumbing, and they can do electrical installation of a whole home generator, which can be super helpful this time of year when it's storm season. So call them today. Remember, if you have any problems with your heat or air or plumbing or electrical, but mostly heat or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
Two big schools have announced that they're going to be playing for a long time. And one of our traditional conference favorites has added a guy that potentially could help lead to some more conference or national championships for them. We'll discuss all that around the SEC and more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Talking SEC contenders, maybe not only for, does it not have a cord that extends out more?
That's as far as it goes.
What's the whole point of having the pull out?
Well, it doesn't usually need to be pulled that
So
far.
that giant brick thing is the only charger you use for your computer now.
That's it.
You don't use a,
like, I'm good now. Like,
that thing should charge, right? He has one of these like mobile chargers. He says it's the only one that you ever need.
Well, I just used to have cords out the wazoo.
Yeah,
like,
so do I.
For like 7 different things, and it drove me crazy. So now I just power it all through here. It's just so much easier. This little brick Mophie thing or whatever the heck.
You mean like
Anchor
this?
or whatever. Yeah,
like
see,
this?
that's what it used to look like. And I can't have that much. It just drove me
It's not even
insane.
at home. I think I have more at home than I gotta have watch charger. I gotta have the old charger for something.
Yeah, exactly.
What does the old iPhone charger thing even charge? I got my Mophie for on the road, my laptop charger, and then I gotta have an extra charger for the phone if you were to need that.
Precisely. Like, it just, that to me stressed me out. And I used
Why
to have,
does that solve all your problems other than not being able to stretch across the room?
well, I don't need to stretch across the room 99% of the time. Like, I don't even need to charge right now, to be honest with you. I'm at 100% here, but I was trying to charge that and that at the same time.
Like Gucci and Bally.
Yes,
Got it.
I guess.
Okay. All right. I do have those little travel charger things. I just always forget to take them. Because the Rose Bowl gave us one, and then I had another that I think Coonan sent me one time as like a Christmas gift or something or other. So I got one from the Alamo Bowl too. And that one's got the little suction cups where you can stick it on the back of your phone.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
actually okay.
It's not terrible, but then your phone weighs 7 pounds.
Really?
It's not ideal.
Not great.
It's not the best, but if you run out of charge, my wife actually uses them. Every time she goes somewhere, she has one of those and they come in handy. But yeah, I always feel like either the cords or which travel charger to have is a conundrum. Because I would still have to have my watch charger cord off of that. I would still have to have phone charger, or that has the charger that goes in your computer, right?
Correct.
So that would also then go into your phone.
Yes.
So, but I still have to have the other one that goes into, I know what it is now. It's my AirPods. That's what the old
Yep.
charger thing goes.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, you know what?
That's why
Can I
AirPods
charge
are
my
dead.
AirPods on the watch thing?
Maybe.
Depends on the generation. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know the
You think
answer
you're
to
one of
that.
The old ones. You've known me long enough, John.
Right. Yeah.
They do have some new ones coming out that have like 0 features that I feel like are new or interesting.
Welcome to Apple.
That didn't start till like 2 years ago though.
Bose is so much
When
better.
all the phones started.
I'm a Bose.
Oh,
man.
this one has round shaped corners. Oh, this one's square corners.
I'm all Bose.
We'll change it just enough so you got to buy a new case.
If somebody told you today that you are not allowed to use an iPhone anymore, what would you do for cellular service? Like, what would you?
Quit. Go off the grid.
We ain't quitters.
Go move to the.
I am
Go move
in
to the,
no way.
somewhere where you can no longer ever contact me.
Would you just go flip phone?
I'm not a green bubble guy. I can't. I guess I
Can't
have to
do
at
it.
that point.
It's green bubble is just disrespectful to
Yeah.
everybody else. that's on the group.
But have you ever tried to like operate one? Like just the keyboard?
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I would do it either.
I'm gladly in the Apple cult, but yeah.
I might just go back to that brick Nokia with
Yeah.
Snake.
Love
if you
that.
could find one.
I'm not proud of it, but it's definitely better.
I saw the first ever in public foldable smart screen phone on the plane the other day. Guy next to me, he unfolded it and pulled it out, and it was like
Was it cool?
but it was the long way
Yeah.
unfoldable.
Yeah.
So it's not even super compact.
No.
And I was trying to get an idea if the picture was good, like when you watch something on it, because the screen's twice of an iPhone screen. I think he was looking at stocks or something. It wasn't interesting. I couldn't tell.
Oh, stocks.
Boring.
Why are you looking at stocks?
I think I prefer BlackBerry rather than old school like that.
I would love to go back to BlackBerry.
Yeah.
BlackBerry
And just
back in the
hammer out
day.
those texts and
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Brah!"
Yes.
BlackBerry in the day was a good product.
I never had.
They did a great job of adapting
they
to
really
the
did.
changing landscape. They really had great foresight. What a
Actually,
company.
they didn't.
Took after
because then
Blockbuster.
Well run. Yeah.
That QWERTY keyboard.
Rank them. BlackBerry,
And then
Nokia,
you had BlackBerry
Blockbuster.
Messenger too, which was essentially
The BlackBerry keys were smaller than the keys or the type or whatever on an iPhone, yet I never missed a letter.
never
I mistype everything on this iPhone.
everything all the time. I think it's like F and A maybe that I get
Yes.
all, and then you do it 7 times in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like no back, no. It's like no back, and again. So let me ask you guys this question because it came up with a buddy of mine over the weekend on technology. Where are we on AI right now? Because I have a friend that uses it. I've referenced him, my buddy Matt. I've referenced him multiple times here on the show. He has like 4 AI services that he uses.
That's it?
And he's trying to convince me that I need to do it. He goes, all you got to do is ask, you could just say like, hey, Grok, or hey, AI service, whatever the other one is. What are the biggest topics in sports today? And like, you could just play in your show that way. And I was like, if I got to ask Grok what the biggest sports topics are, I probably don't need to be doing sports talk radio.
Does that actually work?
He says it does. He has one AI service.
I'm in.
No, listen to this.
There it is.
No, but seriously, he did go further into his productivity every day, which is not similar to what we do. He has AI services that answer his emails for him, not tell him what is on them. Like, will answer the emails for him.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, Matt, that's a liability, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, what if Grok woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day and just wanted to be highly inappropriate?
told the dude to F off. Like, we're done with you.
What if Grok woke up?
Or if it's a financial conversation and like it tells him that you're in for a certain amount and you weren't in for that.
What if Grok had Clippers on the money line?
About to say, what if
Woke
Grok
up like, what?
Yeah, what if Grok was, what if Grok was fresh off like a 4-day bender? What if Grok was on a bachelor party last weekend? And now I got him answering emails?
Or a bachelorette party for him after being married for 12 years.
Whatever.
Out here doing updates all weekend?
Yeah. I mean, Grok's got to get his too. He's got to have some time away.
You
He can't
think
be on
Grok
call.
can name 10 active college football coaches?
Ah, gosh, right. If he can't, then we have great job
Does
security.
Grok think Marcus Freeman's attractive? That's
Yes.
the question.
I'd take the over on yes.
I mean, I think we can ask right now.
I think everybody thinks Marcus Freeman's good looking.
I
don't know anybody that doesn't think he's
news
good
to
looking.
me. I honestly didn't know, but
Yeah. Well, you're dumb.
I didn't know it was at least to that extent. Thank you. I appreciate it. Notre Dame and Clemson have agreed to a 12-year scheduling deal.
Love that. Sounds like Clemson's trying to go Indy.
I'm gonna tell you one reason I don't love it.
Oh boy.
In recent years, so the last 3 to 4 years, tell me when lengthy, long, outdrawn scheduling has been good for college football.
Notre Dame, USC.
Are those even planned, or they just know they're going to play every year?
I mean, it's
That's
kinda,
like crediting the SEC office for scheduling Auburn and Alabama.
Well, I mean,
that's like not really one. That hasn't been different in 150
you can be mad,
years.
but it's still good. Still a good thing.
One that has
to be
been
scheduled.
attempted in a new way that has been great. Because we're canceling games, we're rescheduling games. People are getting out of games for other reason. We got Danny White mad at everybody because they don't want to play anymore. Like, which one has worked really well? Like, I understand that y'all want to play, but to sign a deal to play for 12 straight years when one of those teams is not in your conference but pretends to be in your conference and you're one of the teams in that conference that other people want to take out of that conference just doesn't sound like a great idea.
Yeah.
It's cool for us if we get it. I'd love to see it every year. But I also just think about all that could go wrong with those teams' sort of details, and it doesn't seem great. Back with more after this. So Greg McElroy just asked Chat GPT. So you have a subscription to Chat GPT.
I do not.
You use well. Then how did you use it?
Free. Isn't it free?
I thought you had to have. I thought you had to pay for it.
Our job is so secure right now. If ChatGPT, if this is the content they want us to talk about, we are in great shape. ChatGPT, what should I talk about on a college football centric show today? Yeah. Let me just tell you, this is not something that I'd be very interested in. Would you like me to tell you what they're recommending?
House settlement, Notre Dame, Clemson, and some top 10 list.
High profile moves. Notable transfers include Carson Beck from Georgia to Miami.
Yep, that was the one we've all been waiting to talk about.
And Colton Hood from Colorado to Tennessee.
Former Auburn DB.
NIL influence. AJ Halsey, a standout safety from Houston, is reportedly considering offers from LSU and Miami, with NIL deals potentially reaching up to $1 million.
We beat you, Chad GPT. It's LSU.
Quarterback battles. Marcel Reed has been named the starting quarterback following the departures of Connor Wigman and Jalen Henderson from Texas A&M.
That could be one that we haven't spent a lot of time on that maybe we need to get into.
Oregon. Dante Moore takes over as the Ducks starting quarterback, aiming to lead the team with improved protection and wideouts.
Yeah, one just happened. Right there, breaking news.
Roster limits. An attorney suggests that a $2.8 billion settlement with the NCAA could resolve concerns over roster limits, addressing issues affecting numerous athletes.
Roster limits are definitely what our audience wants to hear more about.
Missouri Tigers. The team has extended offers to 3 high school prospects, signaling ongoing recruitment efforts.
Missouri high school recruiting. Here we go.
Nebraska. Athletic Director Troy Dannon has been appointed to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee while the program is exploring women's flag football opportunities. ChatGPT is about to put together a heck of a show today.
Here we go. Grok, is Marcus Freeman attractive? Attractiveness is subjective and depends on personal taste. So opinions on Marcus Freeman's appearance vary. As the head coach of Notre Dame's football team, Freeman's often in the public eye, and some fans and media have commented positively on his looks. For instance, a post on X from @College Game Day on January 10th, 2025 highlighted Pat McAfee complimenting Freeman's hairline, calling it stupendous, which suggests a playful acknowledgement of his appearance.
Wow.
Beyond that, there's little in the provided information that directly addressed his physical attractiveness.
So Grok is deflecting. Okay, we didn't get an answer.
Subjective, like it said. I thought AI was definitive. Maybe I was wrong. Okay, back with more right after this. All right, welcome back. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to catch up on a couple of things. Auburn today with Jason Caldwell of Inside the Auburn Tigers magazine. Before we do that, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you have arthritis, anxiety that's bothering you, maybe your pet in your house has arthritis or anxiety, they have products that can help you with that. Weight loss, the Trim by SunMed. In stock now at your CBD store. Whether it's just kind of relaxing in the evening, getting better night's sleep, better focus throughout the course of the day, your CBD store has products that can help your daily routine. Gut health, skincare for you or your pet. Go check out the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. First company to have USDA-certified organic oil supplements. 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. Jason Caldwell joins us now. And, Jason, we had an interesting conversation with Matt Zenitz yesterday and talking about a couple of different transfers, a couple of different players, and there's a quarterback from Troy that's heading off to Texas, and he kind of dropped Auburn's name as a team that was interested in him, and I thought it may be more interesting to have you on to discuss some potential additions that Auburn might still be looking to make that some of us don't know about. I just don't think we would have thought that they'd be in the market for any quarterbacks. Do you think that they were, and maybe are they still?
Yeah, I think probably it was right. It was like a certain situation. Matthew Caldwell's a kid from Auburn High School, and so I think they were like, "Hey, you want to come back close to home and be the fourth quarterback and give us a little bit more depth?" Because they'll only have 3 scholarship quarterbacks, and so they're like, "Hey, it'd give you a fourth quarterback for a year and a guy that has some experience if you needed him." But I think it was more about situation and fit, and obviously Texas probably maybe a little bit more of an opportunity there as a 3 maybe than a 4, and so. But yeah, I think they were hoping to bring a guy back home for a year to give him a 4th scholarship quarterback and just kind of in case of, and see if he wanted to come home, but obviously found another opportunity.
But what would lead to somebody making a decision to leave a good situation, or at least an opportunity for a situation in which at best you're going to be used in mop-up duty and or in a urgent, almost difficult situation? Why would this be the conclusion that Caldwell came to?
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be something he would have to answer. And I wonder, he was a guy that got to play last season because of a couple of injuries at Troy. And Goose Crowder is back, I think, from Gardendale. That would be one of their quarterbacks. And so maybe he felt like, look, I'm not going to get that opportunity again at Troy that I had last year. And then, I think you start weighing, what do you want to be? And if, I think if you want to be a coach on the next level, you start looking at, hey, what's an opportunity to go and learn from somebody like that? So that, that could weigh into it as well.
What else could they potentially be looking to add? And I know we're running out of time here, but certain things will happen through the course of the summer before fall practice, and a couple of guys yet to make a decision. What do you look at as what Hugh Freeze and his staff might still be trying to add to their roster?
Yeah, I think you'd always go, hey, if you felt like there was a difference maker, interior defensive lineman, but those guys, if they were out there right now, would be commanding a pretty big bank. And so I don't know that's probably in the cards. You'd always take that guy. I think if you could find the right tight end, maybe another guy to give you a little bit more depth at that position going into this season, that might be an option. But other than that, I think they feel like they're in pretty good shape. Now, if somebody were to pop up as a grad transfer guy and you go like, man, that's the guy that can help you, it almost would be like the NFL draft then, where you go, hey, if we feel like that guy can help us, it doesn't matter what position it is, you might take a run on a 1-year guy, but don't see anybody in particular right now.
What would be a position that would keep him up at night at this point, you think? Is there one where he's like, yeah, I don't feel great about that. I don't have the depth here where I'd like it. What do you think is that position group that it could become problematic in the event in which an injury or two goes down?
Yeah, I think it's probably tight end, and that's a position where they moved Tate Johnson over, who was a reserve offensive lineman, to give him a little bit more, maybe just another offensive lineman as a tight end kind of role. And you got Brandon Frazier back, who's a guy that's had some injury issues at tight end, but has been productive when given the opportunity. Just not a whole lot of experience depth behind those guys. So that's probably the one spot where you go, man, you'd like to have a little bit more there if you could. There's some workarounds, and you might have to change the way you do things if you were to have some injuries there. But I think that's probably the one spot. Other than that, maybe linebacker, you added an experienced guy from Maryland, which was big. But, I think other than that, probably tight end would probably be the one you look at the most.
Jason, where are you on the defense top to bottom right now? Greg and I are on a little bit different sides of this. I have a lot more concerns than he does. He has more confidence that this defense could actually be really good this fall. Where are you just on what you think this Auburn defense kind of is or can be?
I think from a talent standpoint, it's a really talented group. I think there's some experience concerns that you go, how much can you overcome those early in the season? And I think because of that, I think especially up front, you're going to need the couple of transfer guys that you brought in and guys like Bobby Jameson, Travis, and Malik Blockton. You're going to need those guys to play well early to give the Jordan Crawfords and Malik Autry's of the world a chance to grow up. Secondary, I think, even though they're young, I think it's as talented a group as Auburn's had in a long time on the back end of a defense. And you got some guys back that have experience too. So feel good about those. And then linebackers kind of the same thing as defensive line. Robert Woodyard has come back, and he's kind of one of your more experienced guys and hasn't played a ton. DeMarcus Riddick, really talented. So I think it's going to be a talented group. It's just a matter of getting some seasoning early. And, because you open at Baylor, that means you got to hit the ground running.
What about the Baylor team should kind of concern Auburn? Because I know that, look, we know the running back's a dude. We know the quarterback's a dude. We know their offensive coordinator has familiarity with the SEC. I think it's an extremely tough game from an Auburn fan's perspective because I think Baylor's a very capable opponent, but I don't know if the average Auburn fan knows that. So what, how important is that game to get off to a really good start?
Yeah, I think it's important, obviously, when you start talking about, building momentum early in the season. And, because you do have some road trips early this year, and it feels like a Big 12 schedule for Auburn with Baylor, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma early in the season away from home. And so, it'd be really important. I think you look at it, it starts with Sawyer Robertson, Keldrick Falk, those guys up front. Can you create pressure with four? Because that's going to be ultimately that's the key for any really defense, in my opinion, is the more you have to blitz, the more you put yourself in harm's way. And so I think can Keldrick Falk and those guys get pressure and get after him early, I think that's going to be a big deal for this Auburn defense.
There hadn't been a lot of discussion, Jason, around running back, and it's been just solidified for so many years in a row, I feel like, from one guy to the next. And not that we haven't seen this group play, but I wonder what is the real level of confidence, and do they need a difference maker there? How do you sort of view that room?
Yeah, I don't. It kind of feels a little bit like NFL football to me this season for Auburn, and I don't know that you need a difference maker, but you just need guys that can get the job done. And I think because of the weapons outside now at wide receiver, I think you're going to see a lot of light boxes for this Auburn team to run against. And so I think Damari Alston's a guy that's been productive, and when given the opportunity, Jeremiah Cobb's a guy they think is really good and, have seen glimpses of so far. And then, Darrell Robinson, we didn't get to see in the spring, but big back from, that comes in from UConn. And so I think they feel like they've got some pieces there. I think it's going to be a different type of running game, but I do think they're going to have some opportunities because people are going to have to pay so much attention to the wide receivers outside.
How good do you think this offense has a chance to be?
I think it's got a chance to be really good because I think it starts up front. I think this is the best group of offensive linemen that Auburn's had at least since 2017, and there may be more depth than that group had. And so I think that's where it starts. And let's face it, that's been, of all the things that have gone on, you can talk quarterback, you can talk all the other things. The lack of offensive line play and recruiting for the past decade has been the biggest issue for Auburn football. I mean, I went back and looked, and they've had 8 offensive linemen drafted in 18 years total. That's not first rounders, that's total guys. And that means you haven't been talented enough on the offensive line. And I think this is a group that has a chance to be more talented. And because of that, I think that sets the tone for an offense.
It's going to be interesting to see. What have you heard? Because we hadn't really taken a dive into quarterback. I think we mostly know what it's going to look like, what it's going to be. What have you heard about sort of the order? I'm kind of interested in what the thought process is with Ashton Daniels. We all think Jackson Arnold is going to be the starter. Is he a bona fide number 2? Could that be taken from him? Has he impressed people? And how much farther has Jackson Arnold grown in his short time on campus?
Yeah, I think we'll start with Jackson Arnold. I think the thing that we keep hearing from him is processing, how quickly he processes things and gets the ball out of his hands and sees things. And I think that's the key in this offense. that RPO scheme. You got to be able to process information quickly and get the ball out of your hands. And I think that's really probably more than anything what he did a good job of. And, he's athletic enough to go make plays. And I think that added thing, you don't really get to see that in the spring, but I think that's something that will bring, even more to the table for him when you get on the field in the fall. But Ashton Daniels, the guy that, was finishing up, he won't actually be on campus until the end of this month because he was finishing things at Stanford. And so incredible athlete, strong arm, big guy, obviously smart, getting his Stanford degree. I think that's the wild card of this one because he's a guy that has a ton of experience and has played a lot. How quickly can he come in and kind of jump in there, with Jackson and Deuce Knight. I think it's a talented quarterback room athletically, and I think it's a room that can create some issues. You're right, though. The question is, what does the order look like, and how much of a second guy do you use no matter what happens? I think that's something that will play out as the season goes on.
The Ashton Daniels signing to me is really interesting. It almost indicates that they plan on running Jackson Arnold like crazy. And now they have at least a veteran that has been backed up. And that's been a little bit of a problem at some places where they didn't want to run their quarterback because they didn't like their backup options. So is that a kind of a connection that you can make between one and the other? The insurance policy that is Daniels makes me think that this group is going to be quarterback run centric.
Yeah, I think the other part of it too is I think, and I can't go back to we were just talking about offensive line. I think the other part of this whole thing has been quarterback and quarterback recruiting in rooms, and I think you have to go all the way back to like Jason Campbell, Brandon Cox, to see what you think is a succession plan to keep doing the same things you're doing on offense. Far too often we've seen Auburn, you go, well, you have running guys, and then you recruit a guy that doesn't run, and he's a pocket quarterback, and then you go back to a running guy. Now it looks like you've recruited three guys that all have very similar skill sets that can do the same thing on offense. And to me, that's a huge key. You don't have to change things. You don't have to go from, Nick Marshall to Jeremy Johnson to Sean White and go, well, that's not even the same offense. Now you're able to do the same things with the same guys in a room. I think that's probably more of it for me than maybe an insurance policy. I think it's just more of, hey, here's what we're going to do on offense. Here's guys that fit what we want to do, and we don't have to change things no matter who's in the game.
Jason, great stuff, man. Appreciate the time. Always good catching up with you. Before I let you run, though, I did want to ask you one other question, non-football related. For the folks that haven't paid close attention to it, this Auburn baseball team has been on fire. What has been maybe outside what you expected that has led to that success for Butch's team so far this year?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be really offensive heavy, and the offense has been good with Ike Irish coming back and Cooper McMurray, and you had some freshmen that really swung the bat well. But man, the addition of Sam Dutton from LSU, a home state kid from Rainbow City, played at Westbrook Christian. He's been really good as a one starter. They pieced together some things in the bullpen. Christian Chatterton, a freshman from Brooks High School up in Killen, has done a good job too. And I think they've done a good job of kind of putting the pieces together on the mound and pitching really well. And so it's just, I don't know. If you look at them, it's like, I don't know if they do anything better than anyone else, but they do everything pretty well, and they play defense. And so they just been a solid team, that, other than some trips to Georgia and Texas, they'll have one more to Ole Miss. It's going to be a team that's going to have to play 4 road series against top 20 opponents. And so to withstand this league in baseball, softball, heck, you can pick any sport now, is a grind. And, they've shown up some depth, and I think that's main key for them.
Great stuff, Jason. Thanks for the time, man. We'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, fellas.
Jason Caldwell, inside the Auburn Tigers, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Appreciate his insight into that Auburn roster. And there are some questions. It doesn't feel like there are as many massive questions, Greg, like questions that feel like they're directly going to lead to losses, like maybe we've seen the past 2-3 years. Yeah, and I think it's going to be really interesting when looking at what this team could accomplish and how quickly they can gel early and momentum. I mean, this has been a momentum team in the past. I mean, Auburn's one of those teams that just can kind of get momentum and then just continue to keep momentum and just kind of roll it all the way through. It is also a year when they get 2 of their toughest games at home. So I think there's some benefits to this season lining up the way it is, and I think it has to be a year where they really break through. One SEC team is added again through the portal. We will let you know what team that is and what they're doing, but it's at a different position. And then the end of an era. for an item that we're all familiar with. We'll discuss that right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Portal news coming your way, and then the end of an era. As it is 9:18, Tuesday, May 6th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Remember what Ole Miss was doing last year at running back? And it just felt like they were getting everybody. Just all the running backs were coming in.
Yes.
They kind of couldn't figure it out.
Well, it made sense once you watched their running backs last year.
Yeah. Well, they're doing it at a new position, it feels like, this year. And we'll tell you what position that is, but you're going to have to wait for that information. One thing you never have to wait for, though, is your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of at the urgent care office where you can be seen the same day. Several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. Family Dental will get you taken care of, and they can see you the same day. They can also see you on Fridays and Saturdays, and we know how difficult it is to get things scheduled. We really, really hope that you can go and take advantage of their flexible scheduling. It's great. It makes it easy, and it can get you in and taken care of. Family Care Dental. Call them today at 874-9605. That's 874-9605.
Ole Miss has added quarterback Malachi Smith from Oklahoma State. Now, they also added earlier this year Trinidad Chambly from Ferris State, or Chambliss. Chambly or Chambliss.
We don't really know
the correct pronunciation, which means Pierce Clarkson, Louisville quarterback, is out. He is leaving, as has George Hemsley, a 0-star, Justin Kolick, a 0-star, and Walker Howard. All have been out of the Ole Miss roster at quarterback. So some musical chairs happening at QB. Now, Malachi Smith played a little bit last year, completed some passes, did a few things, 44-74 for 489, 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He's played some. It's great. But maybe more surprising, and maybe it shouldn't be surprising. If I asked you just off the top of your head, how many guys have gone into the portal from the Ole Miss roster? How many guys have they brought in from the portal to their current roster? Like, what numbers would you even throw out? What would you even hypothesize or guess as the players outbound?
Players outbound, I'd say like 17.
John, you want to take a shot at just Ole Miss players that have hit the portal this offseason?
11.
That's 30.
That's a whole heap.
You want to take a guess at how many have come in?
20. But
that's just a lot of in and out.
You think? I would say that has something to do with it for sure. But help me understand this for a moment. Ole Miss, 30 outbound. That is exclusively to the portal.
Correct. But that is like George Hemsley, who is a 0-star that 24/7 Sports literally has NA next to his name. And Justin Kolick, same thing. They don't have a star. They don't have a bio. I don't even think they know what town they're from. Like, you guys are all this recruiting. We know everything. We cover these guys and your stars, and you're giving them draft prospectuses when they're juniors in high school. And we can't even get like a statistic from George Hemsley in high school. He's 6'4", 220. And it just has not available? What are y'all doing? Sure, do your job. Give me the recruiting information on the Ole Miss walk-on quarterbacks.
I got very little.
0-star for a kid that Lane Kiffin even allows to put a uniform on tells me that you quit on that kid. You didn't even try.
Is that fair?
Can you just call the high school coach and say, can you give me one quote on him so I can at least just
what
share
if he
that
didn't
with
play in
people?
high school?
Okay. How many walk-ons on college football teams that actually stick? George Hemsley.
He could easily be from the UK. That name actually sounds British.
He's not.
You don't know that.
What about Justin Kolick? Is he from Poland?
I don't know. Sounds like he's from Croatia.
No, that would end with a C. His ends with a K.
Ah.
It's not Kolic. It's Cubelic. Cubelic, I think, is his name.
Gotcha.
You can't give us anything on these guys. George Hemsley, excuse me. Transferred in from Tennessee State. Guys, he went to Memphis University School. You know he's good. He was in a university before he even got to college. Is that kind of like University Lab where they have, like, you go to high school in the Memphis University campus?
It's got to be.
I don't know anything about it.
I have no clue. I wouldn't
he
be able to.
transferred from Tennessee State and he actually enrolled at LSU. He's been at 2 SEC schools and he's a no-star. I'd say that's a miss. 247.
Why are you so down on 247?
Just give me something on the kid. When you just give no stars and say NA, you quitted on that kid. Justin Kolick, Crystal Lake South. Is Jason Voorhees high school? Was that not where Jason Voorhees was, John? Crystal Lake?
That is, in fact, correct.
Also didn't know it was in Illinois.
And maybe it's like Springfield and The Simpsons. There's several everywhere.
He's 6'205", though. So he may not have actually played.
He's a menace.
To what?
Campers? Well, that was his mother, I guess.
Have you seen wherever it is, the lake that has like the Jason Voorhees mannequin that is like he was like chained to the bottom of the lake?
Yeah.
How much did scuba dive down to see that? There's literally not enough money.
Literally all the money in the world. Give it to me.
I
then
don't
I'll
know
consider.
if I could do it.
All of it. Every last one of it.
You talk about self-inflicted wounds as a child. I don't know why I liked Friday the 13th so much, but I made myself watch all of them over and over.
Ooh.
Now, Nightmare on Elm Street, I couldn't do that. That was like, that actually would, just too weird as a kid. We're talking about like late elementary school years. Jason Voorhees, I at least thought I could get away from.
Why'd you think that?
Because I was fast back in the day.
But they never stop.
Jason was a big lineman.
They'll never stop.
He was a lumberer, if we're referencing Jason Voorhees in draft terms. Lacked flexibility, stiff. Freddy Krueger had flexibility. He had
Definitely
athleticism.
Oh yeah.
He had change of direction. The one, it was probably like 4, whatever it was, when he extends his arms out and like scratches the walls on both sides, and his wingspan is literally like 1,700 feet.
Yeah.
You're done. What are you going to do with that?
I don't know. You just got to be low man wins still.
He had flexibility. Voorhees did not. I've never even seen Voorhees bend his legs. He did everything standing straight up in the air, including punch the boxer's head off in New York City that one time. That's where Mortal Kombat stole that from, by the way. Had to be.
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, these are a little before your time.
I'm about to say, I never watched a lot of these. I didn't feel like that.
What were your eras like?
Scary movies?
Some people were too scared to watch horror films.
Scream.
It's not even scary.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Whew, both are back this year. Wow, but still.
What did you just say?
But actually, Scream's coming out sooner, but we're getting a new I Know What You Did Last
Hold
Summer.
on. Is it a follow-up or is it a remake?
Follow-up. Like Jennifer Love and what's his face are in it. Yeah.
Sixth Sense.
That was actually a good movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
The Haunting.
Oh, so you got into like those.
We had like the second generation Exorcist.
Right. The supernatural.
Yeah.
Something's coming out of the TV.
Like the ring. Like we had those. The things that we had, like y'all fell victim to like chainsaw massacres. Like we weren't scared of those.
Yeah, but that's based on a true story, Greg.
Okay, fine. I wasn't scared of that. But if a little girl that got lost in a well climbs out of my TV, I'm in trouble.
Okay.
You're toast.
She'd be in trouble. What was the one? I think I've asked you this 100 times, John. The one where they're in like Tokyo,
Casper.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's basically a spinoff of The
Grudge.
Ring. Yeah, that I didn't finish that.
Same.
You can have it.
When the thing pushed the nails down and broke the fingernails off, I was like, we're out. I'm not doing this. There's nothing good going to come of this. There's not even entertainment value in this. We're out.
At least you know what was another big one? Saw. Those are big when I was younger.
These are not. I don't feel like these are more like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well,
those aren't scary, but they're
like psychological thrillers.
Violent.
Yeah.
And
sort of mind bending sort of. Yeah.
See, like our generation,
they more make you think. Like
our generation's highly intelligent, so we naturally are going to align with movies that make you think.
Because y'all grew up on Blair Witch. Okay, yeah.
Correct. It made you think.
Okay, yeah.
It did. What if you got stranded?
Paranormal Activity. Yeah, that's all y'all. Okay.
I didn't see Paranormal Activity. That might have been a reboot.
What's the one with all the different ways to die?
Oh gosh, that was a good one.
It's coming back too.
Final Destination.
Yeah, there's a new one coming out.
Not all the
Y'all
different
fell for
ways to
that.
die. Final Destination.
Is it not?
Like you're supposed to die, and you don't.
Is the premise of the movie not like all the people get accidentally taken out in different ways? Like,
No,
the train ran
basically-
over a nail and it flew all the way across the cornfield and hit him in the eye. He's taken out. Ah!
You know, they're
Can't believe
supposed
that
to die.
happened. But you know what? You looked at the water spill wrong. Whatever
like
it
in the
was that
first
you did.
one, in the first one, wasn't it like a plane crashed and
Correct.
like
He didn't get
3
on.
or 4 people had a
It
premonition?
did not crash. It exploded.
Yeah, it exploded on takeoff.
Right.
And it had like a premonition, and they
he
decided to
didn't-
get
he
off
didn't
at the
board, and
last
He kept
minute.
the one girl from boarding, and so then
How
it
was
cha-
this a thinking man's?
You can't
now?
because
change
we're
the order.
intelligent. All
Oh,
y'all
okay.
did was just run away from guys wearing masks. That's not intelligence.
No, intelligence would have been if most of those people got away, and they didn't. The intelligent was figuring out how to finally take them out.
Okay, so if
Like you had to fight Freddy in your dreams, Greg.
yeah, if y'all were intelligent and stayed away from the ring, then how do we survive Poltergeist?
Poltergeist.
Because-
down.
That thing took a whole house into the ground.
Yeah,
We had Independence Day.
not a horror movie, but all right.
Yeah, it was.
No, what?
You have giant aliens coming and invading your planet.
All
and
you
telling me it's
need
not
is a
scary.
redneck that can fly an F-15, and you're good.
And Will Smith
That's
dating a
it.
stripper. That's not that hard.
He could definitely fly an F-18, but he could also fly a crop plane on the wrong field.
And drive an RV.
Correct.
I didn't say he didn't have skills. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like those would be super hard to
Jurassic
find.
Park. We had Jurassic Park.
Same guy. Okay.
Yeah, you think that's smart to keep making those things?
Jurassic Park. We got smoked. I mean, like, look, dude, the guy died
Yeah,
on the
you
toilet.
said you guys were smart.
Right.
Yeah, see, like it took
Like, oh, it
intelligence.
killed every human on the island. Let's go make more of them.
Including
Brilliant.
one this summer.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
By the
well,
way, I told you I love that franchise. The
Mhm.
last one was almost unwatchable. Almost literally unwatchable.
Well, you can make it up this
I
summer.
hated it for them. I'm just like, guys, I want to like this. We are way past this being even close to some entertaining reality. We might as well make another Predator.
They are.
Well, there's only been one good one. So, which by
That
the way,
one
Greg,
was
tell me,
half good.
like, speaking of intelligence, do y'all survive that? No,
Predator
we figured it out.
probably just wouldn't have been. Probably just would have taken him out. I mean, we had Apollo Creed.
Yeah, he went
And
down.
he lost.
The Predator took his arm off.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's on him.
Although, tell me this: it took all these people in Predator, and we barely won. Meanwhile, Danny Glover takes him out by himself.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Danny Glover, not believable.
Streets of New York,
Like
not
Angels
real.
in the outfield guy, no chance. Like that ain't happening.
Apparently, he wasn't too old for this
Yes,
stuff.
not buying it. I don't know why you guys were so scared of your movies back in the day. All y'all's movies were dumb. Y'all had the opposite end of the spectrum. You had Jason and you had Breakfast Club. Like
Not
that's
a
all
scary
y'all
movie,
had.
by the way.
I
not
think
many people scared of that
Breakfast Club horrifying.
one. Not really.
Imagine sitting in detention.
Saturday detention
Imagine sitting in detention for 9 hours and you can't do anything.
with a couple nines. I think you'd be good.
Really?
I don't know. I don't really remember, but I feel like that was kind of part of it.
Better say not. But maybe in your era.
All right. Well, you had the Mummy.
Well, not now. It's 60 something now.
Mummy was freaky.
Okay.
Molly Ringwald was not a 9.
A tornado of sand is not taking our era out.
Yeah, it would. You guys mess around with those freaking pyramids. You see what happens. You find out. The Mummy was freaky. Brendan Fraser as a hero, super freaky.
Yeah. Okay. That tells you everything right there.
Yes.
George of the Jungle out here saving my ass. All right.
No,
George of the Jungle was
no.
a G.
What was the one Superdome that he was in?
Biodome?
Biodome.
Encino Man.
Encino Man.
Encino Man.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Also scary.
Give him some.
By the way,
awards.
that was more your era. You're trying to put that on me. Encino
I'm talking
Man,
about the
Pauly
guy.
Shore
The
era
guy.
was
I'm talking
your
about
era.
the guy, not the movie. The
Brendan
guy.
Fraser.
Yeah, you're saying he's a great hero. I'm saying he was literally Encino Man.
Haven't you seen The Whale?
No.
No. He won Best Actor.
You've seen
Spoiler alert.
Blackfish.
Yeah, but he got seasoned in Encino Man.
It's true.
So did what's his face that one?
First of all,
Y'all
your
out here,
era movies.
your era's out here trying to fight Megalodon, and we have a actual size shark that takes out boats.
Yeah.
We have Sharknado. We're throwing
Okay.
sharks at people.
All right. How
Through
many
a
times?
tornado.
4.
Which is tough. Very difficult.
Y'all had 16 Candles. We had American Pie.
Okay, we're not
Y'all
that
had
old,
Jason.
first off. That's
Yeah,
a
you
little
are.
ahead of John
No,
and
it's
I
not.
right there.
That's
Yeah, it
you.
is.
That is you.
That's a little bit ahead
That's
of
your
us.
problem.
I mean, American Pie was my senior year. If we want to
Of
go
what?
at it, high school. Nice try, Playboy. Class of '99, East Falls, East High Falls, if I remember.
Y'all literally fell for some people with a VHS camcorder in a forest with no lights and thought it was scary.
First of all, that was scary.
With snot running down their nose.
That was tears.
No,
She was crying.
That was found footage WWE. That's what it was.
Correct.
not even based
Y'all
on a true
believed it.
story.
Y'all also
Unlike
watched
Jason
WWE.
Voorhees, also based on a true story.
Just
We
like,
had Lake Placid with a giant alligator that people couldn't even take out with a helicopter.
I feel like that was our era.
Lake Placid?
Yeah.
because you're trying to claim it.
It's probably right in the middle.
Well, Deep Blue Sea. This Deep Blue Sea and Lake Placid were around the same era.
Hold on.
Okay.
Is Deep Blue Sea the one with Jessica Alba?
One with Smart
No.
Sharks. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. Smart Sharks.
No, it's not the one with Jessica Alba. No,
Because that was a good one.
correct. I think it was.
Speaking of nines.
I think it was called Deep Blue or something like that.
Way past 9 in that movie. Way.
Jessica Alba was dating Freddie Prinze Jr.
Y'all
in
couldn't-
Summer Catch.
Y'all can't
That was our
even
era.
pretend like your scary movies are based on true
You
stories.
had Molly
Ours
Ringwald.
are.
We had Jessica Alba. That's
Friday
the
the
difference.
13th, based on a true story. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, based on a true story. You had to fake like Blair Witch Project was based on a true story, and it wasn't.
The Grudge, stolen from Japan.
And stolen from Poltergeist.
I can't.
All
argue
y'all's
that.
good movies were stolen. We've done this before. Hunger Games, stolen.
From what, a book?
Running Man.
Yes,
Go
but-
watch it. Running Man. The premise was stolen. Taken.
Never seen it.
Taken. Stolen from Commando. Your era stole all of Arnold's movies and tried to make them better.
And did.
It's real.
And it succeeded.
And
It's
did.
not.
Yes.
You did not make them
First
better.
of all of Arnold's movies were dumb.
No.
And you guys,
that's
just because he
false.
was all jacked up, okay,
Have
Junior.
you even seen
Junior.
Commando?
Your era was Junior.
Have you even seen Commando?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That is taken. You stole the premise from him. His daughter gets taken, and he has to go super. I have a set of skills, except he had grenade launchers and M60s in his closet.
What about?
He had a whole shed outside with them all.
What about Kindergarten Cop?
I don't know if y'all took that one or not. I think your era's movies are too dumb for me to even look and see if that was a real movie that they tried to steal. I'm sure they did, though.
Wait, hang on. I just need to know what years are my era.
Maybe Big.
Just so
Big
I'm
stole
aware.
that from him. I don't know.
Okay, Big is your era.
It's a totally different movie. I get it. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about
Big is
freaky?
his era.
What's
but
in it? What's
Big
a,
is freaky.
what is an elementary school movie that you even had?
School of Rock?
Yeah, you couldn't even come up with it.
Elementary school? When I was in elementary school, we had like Mighty Ducks. We had Sandlot.
I'm saying based on an elementary school teacher, kid, personality, whatever. Like that you would even take kindergarten from. That's not even stealable.
Billy Madison.
That's a standalone.
He's in
by
elementary
itself.
school.
It's a great movie. I don't care what era. That's a great movie.
Okay.
And not even a great comedy. It's just a great film that teaches great life lessons.
The Big Green.
What? I don't know what that is.
That's about elementary school,
You're talking
school
about Of
kids
Mice and
playing.
Men?
What?
Little Giants?
Little Giants also. Elementary
That's
school
not
kids.
your era, by the way.
Yes, it is.
You ain't getting that one.
100%. Okay, I'm sorry.
John
You
Madden
were,
was in that.
You
It's
were
not
in
yours.
college when that movie came out. I was actually at an impressionable age. I was 8.
Mike Ditka was in that. You're not getting it. It's not
Mike
your era.
Ditka was not in that.
He's not in Little Giants?
No, he's not. That just goes to show you how it's my era.
You think it's yours
John
now
Madden-
because you're showing it to your kids.
No, I'll tell you who's in it. John Madden, Bruce Smith, Emmett Smith,
All the guys that played in your era. These are all the guys that you hate because they played in the 90s.
the big white roided out guy from Washington,
Steve Entman.
Steve Entman.
Guy's so good
Tim
for
Brown.
like a week.
Yeah, there was no Mike Ditka in that movie. Mike Ditka is in.
I thought he was like the helper coach.
No, he's in Kicking and Screaming. That's with Will Ferrell.
Oh, you're not getting that one either. That one is more your era.
absolutely my
That's more your
era.
era, yeah.
That one's actually my kid's era.
Where's the full
Like,
cast?
that one
of
might
this?
be 10 years old.
Okay.
We had old school. You had, I'll give you
Tim Brown, Emmett Smith, Bruce Smith, Steve Entman, John Madden. You're
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
I'll allow it. I was wrong.
Titan.
I can admit it, unlike you.
Oh, that's a winner. So
But still, that's not your era.
your
film.
movies are dumb. Our movies are awesome.
Nah.
90s rocks, 80s stinks. Standard.
I'll give you the live action 90s better than 80s, like the actual football, but not films. No. Late 90s into early 2000s is yours. Late 80s, early 90s is ours. You can't just make us live in 80s. That's
No,
not
you're
real.
80s.
It's not. No.
You were born in 74.
No. It's not. What was the scariest movie of your childhood? Alien and Aliens. Michael Kirby wants to know. I've never gotten into them, so I don't know.
They never really freaked me out.
Alien predates Cole.
Yeah.
That's way back. That's
That's the Cole's era.
that might as well be
Sigourney Weaver.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Freakiest movie for
The
my era
Birds.
was The Ring, for sure. The Ring was freaky. That was a good one. It was a freaky one.
But see, you didn't. I think what John was trying to say earlier is you don't have any actual scary movies.
Okay,
They
well,
either
the
like
Ring, I
kind of-
think The
they
Ring
either
was
like,
scary.
it freaked you out, or they were just
What was the scariest movie of your era?
probably Nightmare on Elm Street 2. When he goes through the little square window at the end and he like forces himself through it, you're like, man, if he can do that, I don't know.
It was scarier than Chucky?
Yeah, Chucky didn't freak too many people out. That
Freaked
just
you
made you
out.
laugh. It just made you laugh. Now,
That
I
was
will
your
say,
era.
parts of Gremlins kind of got you.
Gremlins was a little bit weird, more so than it was scary.
Well, that just pulled you back and forth because, like, you wanted the little bear. What was his name? Gizmo? You wanted Gizmo,
Bear.
but then you didn't. What would you reference him as?
A Mogwai.
That too.
A
But
what?
he looks Mogwai. That's what he actually was.
Really?
That's what they called him.
I don't know. So I would have called him like whatever the guys were on the third Star Wars movie.
That's
Return
one where
of the Jedi.
Spielberg kind of stole from himself
Ewok,
because
yeah.
that was basically Jurassic Park, just with different beings. He created them.
What?
Because Gremlins was on not too long ago, and I watched it, and I'm like, my kids aren't ready for this yet.
No.
They are not
Kids
ready
weren't
for
back
this.
then.
Yeah, I
It's
wasn't
like
either.
rated G or PG or something. It's like, whoa.
So then E.T. pops on the other day, and I'm like,
E.T.'s freaky.
I was like, well, hold on a second. Is my daughter ready for this? Like, we're like, that's not, I don't know yet. She's like, well, what happens to him? I'm like, well, the feds come after him.
Yeah, typical.
She's like, the who? I'm like,
Establishment.
all the government.
Yeah.
They basically wanted to take
Yep.
him. And these two
Doge.
kids had to protect him. They put him in the milk crate on front of their bike. And she's like, the what? I'm like, yeah, we don't have those anymore either.
Yeah.
Not
Milk crate?
applicable.
Is that what we call that? I guess it was a milk crate, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Like a traditional milk crate.
But think about the usage. Has there been a more useful item collectively on Earth?
Then
That thing was
E.T.'s
for
finger?
storage. That thing was for a stool. That thing was like to sit on. Those old milk
talking about
crates
milk
back
crate.
in, those things would last forever too. Like literally, you couldn't break them. Stack them up.
I could break him.
And now we got the people who try to stack them and walk across them. That ends poorly. Speaking of that, things that end poorly. I have to ask you guys about something on the other side.
Oh gosh.
Oh, Tommy, good point here. The Flying Monkeys and Wizard of Oz. That's another one that
Freaky.
I was really concerned
too
about
young?
letting my daughter watch because I was like,
We watched
you're
it.
going to love this. There are going to be 2 or 3 parts
Yep.
that are probably going to keep you up at night.
Yeah, we watched it. It was a tough lift until, we tried to explain to Vince that those monkeys were not real. Now, once we told him that, we were good. But it was,
And then you get to the whole part where the person's back there in the back in the woods, and like you can't even explain that yet. That doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, and a person gets smashed by a house. Like, that can't happen. And the fact that, I don't know, tornadoes.
But resourceful.
mean,
When
we're-
someone gets smashed by a house, steal their shoes.
Yeah, that always works. Depending on the wheels.
If they're new, hey,
Skechers
if
slip-ons.
those are brand
You
new
got it.
Concords, take them.
Which I think those ruby red slippers are the equivalent of the Concord re-release.
Is that not what Ezel did in Friday? Should have been bobbing and weaving.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Take your shoes.
I don't know. All of this is making me ponder moving. And if I were to make a move, it'd be with Crocker Moving Services. They're a local company owned by Iraq War veteran Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring moves you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. They need your whole home back to move your company headquarters from across the country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
When we come back, this is the time of year. We have UFL and it's great, and certain things come and go. Like the Masters comes and then it's gone. Kentucky Derby comes and gone. I may have something new for us to lock into, and it might be a sport.
Oh boy.
I'll introduce it to everyone and find out.
Can we get a tattoo about it?
Yes.
Heck yeah. In.
I'm
I'll stick around
going
for
to
the
find
next
out if
segment.
everybody is in or out next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Are we in or out? We will share this with you via social media. Also, from the Mac and Cube account, the only way place I know to get this is on Instagram. While I'm helping our listeners find it, I will allow you to tell the people about the Regions Golf Tournament coming up, Greg.
Well, it's going to be great. I look forward to playing in the Pro-Am. It's 1 week from tomorrow, and it's one of the best days of the year, one that we all look forward to. It's the Drummond Company Celebrity Pro-Am. Lineup is stacked. Coach Saban's playing, Charles Barkley, Nate Oates, Hugh Freeze, country music star Riley Green will all be out there. And starting on Thursday, major championship activities are coming our way here in the Birmingham area. John Daly, Ernie Els, Stuart Sink, tons of others that will all be out there battling on the course. You got the White Claw Watering Hole, the White Claw Wave Bar, the Mayomi Wine Lounge. All those are open to the public, plus food, trucks, Coca-Cola Spectator Village, and a Saturday concert with the Monsters of Yacht. It's all to support Children of Alabama, and it's a week you will not want to miss. Get your tickets now at regentstradition.com.
So there's a league called Run It, and essentially it is rugby directly. It's rugby jousting. Is that what? Rugby/jousting/Oklahoma drill. Is that how you would describe this? Is that a fair description?
Right. Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
You have a rugby style football. You're about, what does it look like, 30 yards apart from one another?
Yeah, give or take.
And you go directly at one another and try to survive. I got stuck on this last night and watched multiple clips, and I am convinced that a few of them are not with us anymore.
Really?
Based on the hits that they took.
It's a little bit like the kickoff of the original XFL.
God, that was great.
Was
so
it?
good. Well, I mean, not for the humans involved in it, but for the viewers, yes. Yeah. And there was one I came across last night that I was convinced one of the guys didn't make it.
This is insane.
We have shared this via Twitter. You can go watch it. Run It is the league. And I just want to know, after you see it, are you in or out? Greg?
Am I in on watching it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely not asking if you're going to participate.
Well, okay. If you thought I was planning on participating in this, maybe like joining a club league in Birmingham, or probably more, I'd actually feel comfortable playing in Mountain Brook.
I'd go. I would definitely go if we had a live around here.
I actually feel pretty comfortable in Homewood, but I can tell you this: I don't think it would end well.
No.
Some of these boys are pretty big and they're moving pretty fast, and
Yes, this is no joke.
they're low to the ground.
All right, you guys go search out Run It, see if it's a sport that you're
gosh.
into and you want to be a part of, and we'll discuss it more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, so there's one of these run it clips that is on the Instagram story that I'm going to pull and share via social. But it is 9:53 right here on Jocks 94.5.
Bill says Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion. They won it 5 years in a row. That's 5 times. They've continued to build on the dynasty that's been built for many, many years. And you can go get yourself a 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. This truck is nearly $87,000. It's as nice as it gets. It's as pretty as it gets. And you can get it right now for $71,805. That means that you are taking $15,000 off the sticker price. You just won't find that anywhere else. That's a ridiculous deal that you need to take advantage of. And reminder, that was a brand new GMC Sierra 1500 with the Denali Ultimate. Highly recommend you going and checking them out. Go and see Andy Cole. Go and see Jonathan Yeager. Take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
I'll just send this one to you to the text first, and you can watch it, and then I'll share it in just a moment when I can figure out how to get it up. But wow, I don't think this guy made it. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think that there's Run It Straight is the name of the league. You guys see this one yet?
No.
The one that I just sent?
Not yet. It hasn't come through.
Hasn't come through yet. Okay. And let me know if you're in on that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm not sure that guy made it.
I don't know if I want to watch it.
I mean, did he not go? There's no way he was going full speed. Like, he just, oh gosh. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I think I'm going to avoid that one.
Yeah,
you like all that gruesome, nasty stuff.
We built different.
Again, we were born in the 80s.
These guys,
look at our horror.
These guys
villains.
doing this are built different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I grew up on the
It's like
Conjuring.
that and the slap championship. Like, I sit there and wonder to myself, I'm literally like, what had to go wrong in your life that led to you wanting to do this? Like, this is how you want to make a career. Like, I will stand there and get slapped across the face as hard as humanly possible, and that's how I provide for my family. What? Like, how do we ever arrive at that? This is one of those situations. It's like, you know what? I'd like to run full speed at a 245-pound bowling ball of man.
I just tweeted this from my account, so if you guys want to go see the video that I'm referencing right now, you'll see it there. It's gnarly. Not as great as the All Houndstooth Alabama uniforms that Sickos Committee put out earlier. But.
Also equally disgusting.
Run It Straight. I want to know if you're in. If we had a league in Birmingham, would you sign up?
To watch 1,000%.
Probably
if you could pick one football player all time for this right now that you feel like most confident they would win,
Mike Allstott. Steve Atwater be in the mix.
I might take Vita Vea.
Oh,
Too
man.
big, not fast enough.
Man, whatever.
I don't think the speed matters. You're bouncing off of him either way. Christian Okoye would be a good one. We're back tomorrow. 3-Man Front is next.